Don't put it off. Summer isn't over yet. Have a new day and night air conditioner and furnace system installed with zero down, zero interest, and zero payments for 12 months. Enjoy savings and a cool, comfortable home for a full year before you even have to make a payment. Go to dayandnightcomfort.com for a Day and Night Elite dealer near you. The difference is day and night.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Andy Farnsworth.
Few slow spots left. A crash southbound 15 now in the cleanup stages in North Salt Lake, but we still have about a half mile of slowdowns around the 215 exit to deal with. I-80 coming from Tooele County, a crash affecting you in that long stretch between Saltaire and 5600 west, about halfway between those two exits. And then North 15, the stop and go we were seeing around 7200 south is breaking up Utah County. I-15 is fine, but 2100 north Lehigh still really slow going east towards the freeway. When it comes to trusted, affordable auto care, nobody does it better than Burt Brothers Tire and Service. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, a good chance for more afternoon and evening thunderstorms today and in the mountains tomorrow. The weekend will be drier and warmer with highs in the 90s. And right now, we're at 71 degrees, partly cloudy skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Dave, I don't know about you, but my ears are still ringing after that bonkers debate last night. 8 Republican wannabe presidents on stage. And there was so much shouting going on at times that I had to make sure I had my eyeballs on the screen to figure out who was yelling at whom.
Oh, my goodness. Can we just all agree? Let's never have 8 candidates on the stage at the same time. Like, let's just never do that. I've never understood, why in the world have we not figured out there's an off button on the microphones? When your time is up, the microphone gets turned off. Solve the problem.
Obviously missing former President Donald Trump. But even though he wasn't there, he was there in spirit. Candidates and the moderators could not help but bring him up.
President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact.
That's Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's Chris Christie.
Here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct.
So while the debate was happening on Fox News, the 8 GOP candidates on the stage, Trump was doing a little counter-programming with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson on Twitter, or X. Tucker asked the former president why he skipped the debate when he was the leading candidate and is the leading candidate.
If you're leading by 50, 60, I have one problem leading by 70 points, and I'm saying, why am I doing it? So I've taken a pass.
I will say this, though. The entire debate did not revolve around Donald Trump. There were a few one-liners, and they talked about it
They
a
asked
little
for
bit.
a show of hands.
There was,
who supports them,
There's not a worse thing in debates than raising your hand like third grade. Everybody who wants Jimmy to be president of the class, raise their hand.
Did you hear what Ron DeSantis said about that? This isn't we aren't school children. Let's stop raising our hands and just start debating.
It is so true. I cannot believe that. Brittany Shepard joins us right now, ABC News correspondent, was covering the debates last night. Brittany, I guess the big question we have, everyone is asking is, okay, was there a winner, and who was it?
Well, it's hard to say exactly who won or who lost. We have about 5 months for the Iowa caucusers to make that decision. But when I think back to last night, there were plenty of fireworks, but I'm really struggling for it to be memorable. I'm not so confident there was this big banner moment that everyone will remember, or frankly get even played on cable news past this afternoon. Remember, we do have this tricky Fulton County news that's going to break, this afternoon with Trump handing himself in. We might even have a mugshot, and we just know how much oxygen that man takes in the news cycle. But I also think it's worth noting how much he was and wasn't part of the conversation, as you were saying. You know, we haven't talked a lot about the audience. They were like a Greek chorus for Trump in Milwaukee there. When someone like Vivek Ramaswamy said that they loved him, the crowd was in raucous, rapturous applause. I mean, I was watching from my apartment in D.C., but I felt like I was in the room, right? And when Chris Christie goes against him, there were so many boos that the Fox News moderators had to turn around and say, hey, you guys, like, pretty much you got to shut up a little bit if you want us to take these 2 hours all the way to the end of its course. But at the same time, Trump was also not mentioned by the moderators until an hour in, until right about 10 p.m. And questioning on Trump only lasted about 10 minutes. And for me, that felt like a look into this looking glass, this alternative universe where Trump isn't dominating the conversation. And insofar that was true, there was a lot of substantive conversations on policy, even though a lot of people were yelling at each other, as you guys were saying. It was like hard to see who was calling who what.
Yeah, there were moments where everybody's stepping on everybody. Typical of debates, but there were so many candidates on stage that this one got to be a little bit rowdy at times and tough to follow. Brittany Shepard, ABC News correspondent, following the debates out of Washington, D.C. I did feel as though, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch it would agree with this, is Ramaswamy really took a lot he took a lot from the debate stage from both sides. I mean, he was kind of smack dab in the middle. And here's Chris Christie going after him.
People are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Down by 90%
Hold on.
in the last century.
Listen.
Hold on. I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
It surprised me in a couple different ways that so many candidates went after Vivek Ramaswamy instead of Ron DeSantis. It was almost like DeSantis was the afterthought.
You know, it's interesting. Ramaswamy was the most attacked candidate in the debate, and he also delivered the most attacks by my count. And I think he was kind of like a Trump proxy because he's the most closely aligned to Trump policy-wise, and he runs right of him. He runs more conservative of him, and he's his most ardent defender. Essentially, it was almost like he was doing promo for Trump's own candidacy. And it's interesting. It's either that candidates on stage either thought that Ramaswamy was a threat because of it, or they were frankly just like PO'd with his demeanor and his attitude, given that he has a virtually non-existent political resume. And I like that you brought up DeSantis. You know, typically after these debates, we kind of track how long each person spoke on stage. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis only spoke for about 10 minutes. And I find that kind of reflective of his middle-of-the-pack performance last night. He basically faded into the background. You wouldn't think that this man was once lauded as the second coming of Trump, right? And he tried to make some definitive arguments, you know, against COVID policy, on education, where you think he would have a big force multiplier given everything that's been happening with parents' rights in Florida. But he kind of faded into the background. And there really wasn't a big moment where he popped or had a big zinger. And if you guys remember from the last cycles, or where he even had larger debate stages, remember we had 2 debates, a loser debate too. During those Democrat debates, campaigns were able to turn merchandise, hats and mugs and shirts as soon as their person got a really big applause line. What pops to my head is when Kamala Harris said, "That little girl was me," about busting against Joe Biden, the man who she's now vice president for. But nonetheless, they were able to turn that into like a viral social media moment. And DeSantis got nothing. And I think it's probably some writing on the wall for where his candidacy might go if he's not able to just translate to the American voter.
Brittany Shepard, thank you for joining us, ABC News correspondent out of Washington.
Excellent analysis, Brittany. Appreciate it. Dave and I have so much more straight ahead. We've got, we call them the best and worst moments of the debate. We're going to break it down.
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was
you're going to want to hear the rest of this exchange next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
This week is gonna rock.
Gusty outburst winds. More flood watches in southern Utah and thunderstorms here in the north.
And it's gonna roll.
It's been a stormy couple of days. It's going to be a stormy couple of more.
You show us everything you've got.
Keep KSL nearby as storms move in, blast us with rain and lightning, and then vanish. Listen mornings and afternoons this week to traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s on KSL News Radio.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by two guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company, building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Are you or someone you take care of as their caregiver living with Alzheimer's disease? This study just might be for you. Consider participating in a Therapist clinical trial exploring a novel repair and regenerative approach to Alzheimer's disease. Pantheon Clinical Research in Salt Lake City is looking for people with mild to moderate dementia, 55 to 85 years old. A consistent caregiver or support person is necessary for the conduct of this study. This study is a late-stage clinical study of an investigational drug for the treatment of mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. Pantheon Clinical Research has over 30 years' experience with clinical trials. They conduct their business with professionalism, efficiency, and integrity. Contact Pantheon Clinical Research in Salt Lake City today. Again, call Pantheon Clinical Research today at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. Or go to pantheonclinical.com. That's pantheonclinical.com.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
This is the year to go see Utah Symphony and Utah Opera. All shows have just gone on sale at the best prices you'll see this year. Get tickets for your favorites at usuo.org.
Hi, I'm Heather Kelly with KSL News Radio. I have a podcast, Money Making Sense. My passion is to help people keep more money in their pockets by learning how to cut costs.
Unplugging unused gadgets can cut your bill by 10%.
This includes anything from understanding your health insurance options.
How do those co-payments or deductibles or out-of-pockets play in? And what is it going to cost me?
To smart strategies for buying a home on your budget. But it isn't all about the cash. Not getting scammed and preventing financial abuse is a big part of Money Making Sense.
The biggest piece that's holding women back on being able to leave is feeling financially trapped.
Basically, if money affects your life in any way, I'll talk about it. That includes speaking with ambassadors, state governors, and even the U.S. Secretary of Transportation about where your tax dollars are going. Follow Money Making Sense for free wherever you get your favorite podcasts on KSLpodcast.com or the KSL News Radio app.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man is dead after an officer-involved shooting near the border of West Jordan and Kearns. Officers were there investigating a domestic violence call. Second, former President Trump expected to turn himself in at a jail in Georgia this afternoon. And third, around 1,100 people still listed as missing in Maui. One of them is the uncle of a family from Lehigh. Right now, 71 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Things certainly got spicy last night on the debate stage. For 8 GOP candidates looking for primary vote from people who are watching that debate last night. We're not really sure if there's a clear winner, but we do think there were some losers. I'm sorry. Dave?
I thought, okay, sometimes there are huge gaffes that will make you the loser, where you stumble over your words, you don't know what to say, you say something completely off the rails. Okay, that didn't happen.
Right.
But what made some of these candidates losers was the fact that they might as well not have been on stage.
Yeah, that's
well
said.
You
well
have
said.
to be able to make an impact.
You're taking up space.
Yeah.
You're taking up space. I mean, and the GOP has got to get to a point where they're whittling down these candidates, right? I mean, because you're starting to split votes and split hairs. So that having a near baseball team, enough candidates to field a baseball team on one stage last night did not do the other candidates who are going to come out, shining at some point, rise to the top, any favors. But you felt like Mike Pence. Maybe you were a little surprised that Mike Pence kind of held his own.
I don't know why I'm surprised that Mike Pence does a phenomenal job in debates. He was a former radio host. The guy knows how to talk.
He's a governor.
He can debate.
Yeah.
Not only does he have the political chops as a governor, as vice president, I think he was in the House of Representatives as well. He's done everything. And he can communicate. He's very presidential. He's clear. He's not a bomb thrower, which is kind of the politics of the day. Everyone wants to throw bombs.
And it is refreshing.
It is refreshing. But he was asked, and this was the moment I thought was a pretty good moment for Mike Pence, when they asked him whether or not, kind of looking at President Joe Biden, if there should be some sort of mental competency test for the presidency.
President Biden will be 82 years old on Inauguration Day. Nearly 70% of Americans say that he is too old to serve. Should presidents have to pass a mental and physical test in order to serve, Vice President Pence?
Well, it might be a good idea to have everybody in Washington, D.C. pass a mental and 30 seconds, no. The American people can make those judgments. But let me say, I'm running for president of the United States because we don't need a president who's too old, and we don't need a president who's too young. We need a president who's been there. We need a president who knows how Congress works, how the White House works, how states work. And on this education issue, Martha, I was fighting against No Child Left Behind when Republicans were doubling the Department of Education. I'll also shut down the Federal Department of Education. And when I was governor, we doubled the size of the largest school choice program in America. And we'll give school choice to every family in America when I'm in the White House.
And I thought that was a pretty strong moment for the former vice president. It was interesting. His dig was like a baby little tiny dig. He says we don't need someone too old, but we also don't need someone too young.
Looking at you, Ramaswamy.
Exactly. But did you hear the crowd's reaction when he said that?
Mm-hmm.
He got booed. It was a very pro-Trump, very pro-Ramaswamy crowd, and you could hear it all night long.
Ramaswamy, what, 37 years old?
Yeah, 37, 38.
37 years old. In fact, he became the target. The pack went wild, right? Ravaging him at times. So here's Chris Christie making his case against Trump.
Here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong. The conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States. And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
You know, Christie held his own. I think that surprised both of us. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from him. I thought he would have to spend a lot of time on the issue of President Trump having, you know, been a part of his transition team back in the day. But he really did a pretty good job of staying away from it for the most part. But Vivek kind of went back after Christie.
President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. Chris Christie.
And he got louder applause.
Your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
But therein lies part of the issue with this. They're running a campaign, and they have to, I guess, against President Trump to some extent. But again, you're just wallowing away in this cycle of talking about the trifecta or whatever of indictments, right? I mean, you just get sucked up into this conversation when I think it's time that we hear policies. We hear what they're going to do if they are elected to the Oval Office. And unfortunately, a lot of this got caught, you know, they took their eye off the ball with these kinds of back and forth debates about President Trump and who likes him better and who can get the most applause.
What I did appreciate, though, is this conversation didn't happen until more than an hour into the debate.
So you could have been asleep by then.
You're like, I made it through an hour. I'm done.
Check out. So what is your point then that you were able to watch and them talk about some of the policy issues you care most about, and then get to this topic that we knew they had to talk about, but it wasn't right up front?
Yeah, very much so. I had no problem addressing or talking about Trump. I did not want to see 2 hours of Trump. I just didn't want to see it. And you did not. There were a few little comments here and there, but largely these 8 candidates focused on policies and the way they would run the country if they were elected president. It's impossible not to talk about Trump. He is by far and away the leader right now. They're battling for second place. But I also thought when I was watching this, you know what? I'm not missing Trump. I'm fine. I can see a future in the Republican Party that is not Donald Trump. And that has not been the case for a while.
I want to move on to Senator Tim Scott, running third in the race behind Trump and DeSantis, at least for the primary. Unimpactful last night. It was not a great night for him.
It was a rough showing.
Yeah.
And again, not because he said something bombastic, outlandish.
Just didn't say much.
Unimpactful.
Yeah, I would put that Doug Burgum and Asa Hutchinson in that same category.
We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll do is fire Merrick Garland. Second thing I'll do, fire Christopher Wray, because we need Lady Justice to wear a blindfold. Without that, no one has confidence in our justice system. 17% of Republicans have confidence in our Department of Justice.
Well, he got an applause there, but I felt like it was just such a missed opportunity for Senator Scott. And I didn't know much about Asa Hutchinson, other than I learned last night that he was formerly the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. That's about
Hey, you ran the DEA. That's great. Tonight, you're MIA.
And Doug Burgum, I mean, it did feel like he'd broken his ankle earlier that day playing basketball when I was watching him on stage. So I thought those three had the most disappointing showing of the night.
Yeah, and Tim Scott really is a heavy hitter, but this is not his jam. This is not the place where he will shine. He's pleasant and he's optimistic. That is not what words you would use to describe a debate. And I think it just did not play well for Senator Tim Scott. The fact that he didn't fall on his face, maybe that still breathes some life into his campaign, but unimpactful.
All right, the moment I have been waiting for is coming up in about 4 minutes, where former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley ate Ramaswamy alive on stage. Next.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top local story this hour. Well, it was the first Republican presidential debate missing its top polling candidate, but that didn't stop the others from talking about him. ABC's Andy Field has details.
On a Fox News Channel debate, former Governor Chris Christie scolding other candidates, who he says keep excusing away former President Trump's behavior and indictments.
Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct.
As for Mr. Trump, he was on a Tucker Carlson X social media program saying the debate wasn't worth his time.
Get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president.
Mr. Trump says he will not be at the next debate either. Andy Field, ABC News.
And our top national story this hour from ABC News. Officials in Orange County, California say at least 4 people were killed, 6 hospitalized after a shooting at a popular biker bar. Orange County Fire Chief Brian Fennessy spoke at a news conference overnight.
2 of the 6 people we transported are in critical condition. The other 4 are in stable condition.
Authorities say the gunman may be a retired law enforcement officer. He was shot and killed after deputies arrived on the scene. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 126 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ even steeper, 146 points down right now. And it looks like afternoon thunderstorms will keep up through tomorrow. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
This summer, the political season heats up.
By August, it'll be time for debates. Can you believe it?
We're planning coverage of the real issues, the important stories that impact how we live.
Listen each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Imagine how inconvenient your life would be without power. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, and no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have the power when you need it most. Generac generators automatically provide backup after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Schedule a free quote today with Genco Generators, your premier Generac service dealer in Utah. Call 801-295-0872 or online at gencogenerators.net.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. That's 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly. And our KSL weather, a high of 88 degrees today with lingering tropical moisture sticking around through tomorrow. Things start to dry out for the weekend starting on Saturday. By next week, we'll be back to full sun with highs in the 90s. And right now, we're at 72 degrees, partly cloudy skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
The Race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Didn't watch the debate last night? Maybe you watched part of it and you missed what Dave and I both agree on is the best moment of the debate. We're going to play it for you in just a few minutes. Spoiler alert, this one went down about an hour and a half into the debate, and it was Haley just eating Ramaswamy alive.
I didn't see it quite that way. You definitely felt like,
I did.
Haley's getting him.
Look, I got to hand it to her. There was not a scrap moment where she got into it with another candidate where I felt like and every single moment where she was going toe-to-toe with one of those other candidates on stage, she came out shining. Like,
yeah, she was great.
She's smart.
Yeah.
She's smart. She's got experience. And I think she really showed that last night.
Well, this was speaking to her expertise. She was former UN ambassador, and they were talking about Ukraine. Now, again, I didn't see it quite as the knockdown, knockout punch for Vivek, but she was definitely very good. She made a very strong point. And then I thought once Vivek was able to respond, I thought he had a good response as well.
Okay, let's listen to it. This is going to be 3 minutes of your life that you can't get back.
Oh, this is good stuff.
This is good stuff.
This is good stuff.
Really, get out the popcorn, put some butter on it. Let's go. Haley versus Ramaswamy.
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon. And
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to give
let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
so the reality
make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship. And you know what friends do? Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies. I love that they have a national identity and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles me is, I want to learn from those and apply those to protect our homeland, Nikki.
Israel
that is
needs
the answer.
America. America needs Israel.
Okay, Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned at the territorial dispute. Not only...
no, it's not a territorial dispute either.
That was by far the fieriest interaction all night long.
She's passionate.
Yeah, and she knows what she's talking about. I mean, whether you agree with her or not, she has a very clear vision of why the United States should be supporting Ukraine, and even more so in her opinion. And that's what I love is when politicians say and state clearly, this is what I believe and why I believe it. And then it's up to me to decide, oh, no, you're wrong, or yes, you're right. But so often, and this is how I felt a lot with Ron DeSantis in some of his answers, they were non-answers. I'm like, what are you talking about? Stop straddling the line. Let me know what you think. So she was very clear there, whether you agree with her or not, very clear.
Well, and she made excellent points about once Ramaswamy would kind of teed this whole thing up, as Ramaswamy had said that not going to continue, would not support continued funding to Ukraine. Okay, so that tees her up then to just jump all over him and talk about his lack of knowledge about foreign policy. But also when she talks about it then morphing into becoming a world war, that's because once Russia takes Ukraine, the idea that Putin will just suddenly stop at the borders probably not going to happen, probably will continue on. And then he gets into NATO territory. And then if he's in NATO territory, that's where we have the alliance, the agreement that America does step up with military force. And that's what she's talking about. That's what she's talking about. I thought that was a shining moment, and I thought it was one of the best moments of the debate, and it really stood out to me. She knows a lot about foreign policy, and he does not.
I would disagree. I think he certainly knows about. They just have a different approach.
Well, and different experiences.
Yeah, different experiences.
Much far different.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time in public service. He was not UN ambassador.
Yeah.
She was, and she was also a governor. But as UN ambassador, she learned a lot.
But his point, and this is what he said, was just because you have experience doesn't mean you're an expert. Because look at all the problems we've had, you politicians on this stage, look at the 20-plus year war in Afghanistan with no exit plan, and look how subservient you are to the military-industrial complex. That was the little quip about enjoy sitting on the board of Lockheed and Raytheon, defense contractors.
He had a lot of those last night.
Deep
Quite
cuts.
a few. It was almost weird, like they were talking about policy issues, and then he would try to slam dunk with some sort of low blow. That's kind of stood out to me that he kept doing that, and I thought
it didn't feel like a low blow,
stop
does
doing
it?
That. Well, I mean, it was like, does she sit on the board?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
She doesn't sit on the board, right? She said that.
But the point being made is, you might as well be sitting on the board if you're continuing this quest to fund war after war after war.
Okay, so it did feel though that it was Vivek versus the world.
People are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for? Hold on.
In the last century.
Listen. Hold on.
Here comes Chris.
I've had enough
I've had
already
enough.
tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
So now we're going after Obama.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
same type of amateur.
Hold on.
Started to sound a little bit like President Trump there.
Well, and this is where Vivek was especially good. Because he's not so scripted, he can have these moments where he's like, hey, come on, give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did Obama. Come on, man. Get me elected like you got Obama elected. Give me a hug, brother. You don't hear that kind of stuff very often. where people let their personality show. He's clearly 38 years old. This is how 38-year-olds talk, right? It's a bunch of buddies together. They're ribbing each other. It stands out, his youth and vitality. But at the same time, I wouldn't say it looks presidential. As good as he is at debating, as well-spoken as he is, there is an air, and whether it's right or wrong, there is this air that we expect. And of all the candidates, Mike Pence was by far the most presidential. He felt like the adult in the room, while a lot of these other candidates were sparring at each other. But I thought it was a very entertaining debate. I enjoyed listening to it, and I was really grateful that it wasn't just Trump, 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 Trump.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio. We have a crash eastbound I-80 about 4 miles east of Saltaire. So it's about half a mile or so before you get to 7200 West. And it looks like the left lane is blocked. It is in the clearing stages, but traffic is backed up a couple of miles to the curve as you come out of Tooele County. Is the IRS harassing you? Are tax problems ruining your life? Let Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox help. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
It's about time someone offered you a complete custom kitchen and bath, remodeled, designed, and built to your specifications and style in just 3 days. It's about time someone offered you a written, unconditional 100% satisfaction guarantee on both their quality and craftsmanship. It's about time someone gave you free professional design and decorating assistance to create your perfect kitchen or bath. And when you remodel your kitchen, you'll save $500 off a complete custom bathroom. Call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath today for your free copy of the Home Remodeling Guide, plus $500 off a complete bathroom remodel and a free design consultation.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why most of our over 18,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with a needs analysis where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in 1 day. We also have flexible, no money down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, former President Trump has hired a new lead attorney for his Georgia court case. He's set to surrender today on charges that he schemed to overturn the 2020 election. Second, more storms are moving across the state, parts of southern Utah cleaning up after another round of flash floods. Third, the weather thought to have played a role in a large rock slide in Little Cottonwood Canyon took out a popular rock climbing spot in the Gate Buttress area. Right now, 72 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
KSL in the classroom. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We were looking forward to broadcasting live today out of the Nebo School District at Springville High, but we had some technical issues. We had some gremlins in the transmission lines out there, so we hustled into studio here. But thankfully, in a moment, we're going to speak to the Nebo School District because I think they may have a solution people need to hear about when it comes to third grade reading issues. Dave, I want to play this. You're going to, I know, react to it, but I want to set up the problem for our listeners with the help of KSL News Radio's Kate Davis, who talking to us about third grade reading scores right now.
Third grade is a key moment in child development. It's the year educators say students start reading to learn and move away from learning to read. Now, the Salt Lake Tribune reports state lawmakers are trying to tackle the problem with the Early Literacy Outcomes Improvement Bill. It includes more than $18 million in funding to improve reading outcomes for those 8 and 9-year-old kids. Lawmakers are shooting for 70% of third graders to be reading at grade level by 2027.
Third grade, I love how Kate described that. It's the age where you stop learning to read, but you're reading to learn. And if we can't get kids quickly and efficiently into that reading to learn, where do they go from there? Because that's all it is from here on out, is reading to learn.
So according to this report by the Salt Lake Tribune, 48% of Utah third graders read at grade level. 48%.
That's a bad number.
Celeste Gledhill, elementary curriculum coordinator with the Nebo School District. You're having much different outcomes in the Nebo District. What's the percentage of your reading levels?
For our third graders, we're at 71% of students proficient.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a huge difference between what the state averages are. How do you get up to 71%?
Well, we've been focusing for quite a few years on the science of reading, knowing how students learn to read and pinpointing where their difficulties are. And then we've implemented coaching for the classroom teachers. And then the other great thing that we've done is we have started an intervention program for students that are not quite there yet. And we have hired a certified teacher in every school that pulls students for reading intervention to fill the holes so that they can read proficiently so that they can start reading to learn.
So let's go back to the coaching part. What does that look like?
We have coaches in our schools. We have intervention coaches. We have literacy coaches. And they work hand in hand with the teacher where it's another set of eyes to see how instruction is going in the classroom and to help the teacher set goals and work towards that improvement that they want in their classroom.
Celeste, as you described that, I'll just let folks know that's what my wife does at the elementary school. She does it for the younger grades, kindergarten, first grade. But it is incredible, and part of the reason this is so efficient and is because the teacher doesn't have to leave the classroom. They can send these kids off to the interventionist, I guess you'd call them, for additional instruction without having to take the teacher away from the crucial teaching of the entire classroom. Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, correct. I mean, we have a tiered intervention support, so really it takes all the classroom teacher and the coaches and the intervention teacher to make it happen. But it is very specific in what they do and how they help children. So it's just giving students that extra dose all along the way so that they can be more on track. Where does that funding come from? Is there enough funding to have these reading coaches or somebody that can offer these interventions? We get some funding from the state, and then we supplement it with district funding. It's just how we allocate those funds for each district, I think. Is there enough? No, because we would love to have even more than what we have now. But like we apply for grants from the state and they fund us for a certain amount, and then we just pay the rest so that we can have access to that in each school.
Celeste Gledhill, Elementary Curriculum Coordinator, the Nebo School District, on the line with us after we saw this report that only 48% of Utah third graders are reading at grade level. But in the Nebo District, it's at 71%. And what does that look like? And what does grade level reading look like? What should our kids at that age be reading?
Like what kinds of books?
Yeah, like what
asking,
kind of
or?
books? Yeah, I don't remember. It's been so long since, my oldest is 27. My youngest is going on 24. So what are the standards today?
Well, we're talking simple chapter books, informational text, so that they can read about, topics in science and social studies and things like that. As far as specific books, I don't have any one book coming to mind, but they should be able to read pretty much simple text that's put in front of them fluently without taking a lot of time to decode.
Celeste Gledhill is the Elementary Curriculum Coordinator in the Nebo School District, and we're discussing the progress that has been made specifically in the Nebo School District trying to get third graders up. Have you talked to other school districts and as they are struggling to meet that goal, because I think lawmakers want to hit that 70% mark, and you guys are, I think, at 71%. What are you hearing from other school districts and what kind of needs they need?
I think all school districts are working on it in very similar ways. I think one thing that set us apart is we took all of our COVID money that was granted to us, and that's when we started our intervention program. So instead of putting it toward, because it was supposed to be to catch students up. And so that's how we paid initially for our coaches and our trainings and our things like that to get people going. And I think other people are doing the same thing. It just depends on where they're choosing to put their time. And so a lot of people are looking at the science of reading. All teachers in the state are being trained in the program we call LETTERS, which is helping them meet the student needs according to Senate Bill 127. So I can't speak particularly to what they're doing. I just know what we did in our district to make sure we hit the ground running.
Celeste Gledhill, thank you for joining us from the Nebo School District.
Keep up the great work. That's awesome. We'll continue to follow that and see how the other districts are doing with third grade reading. Also, you know what we need to do? We need to get like a tutor on the air with us to talk about like what the action steps our parents should be taking if their child is falling behind at home. Next at the 10 o'clock hour, we focused significantly yesterday on developments in Lehigh City with their E. coli outbreak, where so far there's been a dozen cases reported of people falling ill, and the city has tied it back to their irrigation system, which is the system that they use to water, residents use to water lawns and gardens. This is not the in-the-home culinary tap water that it's tied to. So set that aside. This is about the sprinkler systems. The problem is kids are running through sprinklers. People are going out and gardening, and they're getting exposed to, E. coli or the potential. And so the city has put out this list of extreme precautions to take to make sure you keep your family safe. One of those is don't let your kids run through the sprinklers. Don't tie up a hose to the slip and slide and let them run down it. They get water in their mouth, or put a hose on a bouncy house that they're splashing around on, or fill up a pool and let them stay away from that. Don't even let them put their hands in their mouth if they're playing in the yard. And when it comes to gardening, don't eat raw fruits and vegetables if you're a DIY gardener. So Dave, after all that we talked about yesterday, and by the way, it's still going on. I don't think they've solved the problem yet in Lehigh. You had, I think, a really important point and question that you wanted us to look into today.
Yeah, I wanted to know, okay, so you have an E. coli outbreak, wherever that came from, whether it was upstream, in a reservoir, who knows, what do you do now? Because do you just shut off the secondary irrigation? Is it so dangerous? What's the mitigation? So we've invited, who did we invite? Was it the Weber?
Yeah, Weber Water District. Scott Paxson's going to join the line next. Now, he's not representing Lehigh.
No.
But he's going to give us some insights on what happens if or when this happens in your community. Next.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A Utah lawmaker plans to introduce legislation aimed at regulating how much water minerals companies can take from the Great Salt Lake and how much they have to pay the state for it. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Utah House Majority Leader Mike Schultz says the Great Salt Lake was viewed very differently from the last time some of those water rights contracts were written, some of them back in the 1960s.
We need to work together to find a balance.
He says they not only want to avoid an ecological disaster with the lake still well below healthy levels, but also to make sure the state gets more from these companies who he says are taking in hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Schultz says he's ready to have this legislation set to go by at least the next legislative session. Some reaction this morning after the Fox News debate featuring 8 Republican candidates vying for the presidency. KSL News Radio's Boyd Matheson says he was impressed with former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley's knowledge of important foreign policy issues and believes Ohio businessman Vivek Ramaswamy came out swinging.
He was sort of playing the role of the former president tonight. He used a lot of pejoratives in describing the rest of the people on the stage as being bought and paid for by big corporations or the media and so on.
And Matheson says 2 candidates, Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas and Doug Burgum of North Dakota, had good answers, but they're finding it hard to compete. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 202 points on the day right now, and the NASDAQ also down sharply 185 points this morning. Our KSL weather looks like more thunderstorms on the way. That's next. KSL News Time 10:01.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
At Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital, we made a bold promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Join us in realizing our vision for the future of pediatric care. So together, we can expand primary children's impact and ensure every child has access to the right care at the right place at the right time. For a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Help us continue to do so for the next 100 years. To get involved, visit primarypromise.org.
Needing a mortgage? Press 1 if you're purchasing a home. Press 2 if this home is a refinance. Press 3 if you need cash back. Your wait time is 20.
Need a great way to begin a home mortgage loan? Pressing buttons hoping that you'll end up with an actual experienced loan officer is not a smart way to start. Often it brings higher rates, higher costs, and long closing times. On the other hand, you can call Loans by Rick and speak directly to Rick, a mortgage lender that has closed thousands of loans since 2002. Rick will pick up your call every time. You only talk to Rick, not option 1, 2, or 3. Closing is fast in 12 to 22 days from submission to clear to close, with low rates and low closing costs. Call Loans by Rick at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE. Or click loansbyrick.com. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106 are equal housing lenders.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Tim and Amanda, Utah's Morning News.
I know the news can be heavy. I hope we cheer people up, Tim.
We really do look for those opportunities, and we had so many nice comments during the height of the pandemic.
We're going to get through whatever this is and still have some fun in life.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly.
Utah County, this is southbound I-15 right at the Center Street exit in Provo, and it has blocked the entire exit ramp as well as the 2 right lanes going through on I-15 southbound. So traffic is quickly backing up toward the Orem area, so you need to allow extra time on your commute there. No problems, though, if you're making your way the rest of the freeways across the Wasatch Front. Need tires? Don't buy them without the money-saving Burt Bundle from Burt Brothers Tire and Service. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, a good chance for more afternoon and evening thunderstorms today and in the mountains tomorrow. The weekend will be drier and warmer with highs in the 90s. And right now it's 73 degrees with partly cloudy skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM at KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, we know that Lehigh, which hugs the northern edge of Utah County, is one of the fastest growing cities in Utah, and it is in one of the fastest growing counties, or the fastest growing county in Utah. And they are having a world of trouble right now with their irrigation system that's used to water their lawns, their grass, their gardens, the trees, the bushes.
Their farms.
Yeah, E. coli. And it's no joke. This is not, no. I mean, this little gal that KSL 5 television got, information about, her grandma talked to Ladd Egan of KSL 5 TV, and it was like this 3-year-old was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks, kidney failure. Don't know if she's ever going to get 100% of her kidneys function back. It can make you sick to your stomach. It can make you vomit. It can, give you the runs. I mean, it's just, they're in a real mess right now. We have reached out to the city of Lehigh at least once, if not twice, with the help of our producer, Caitlin, and they have not agreed to be live on the air at this point to walk through this with us. But look, I mean, with the seriousness of the press release that they put out regarding extreme precautions that they want residents to take, we felt like we had to reach out to somebody who's in the industry, a water expert, because Dave had a really important question.
Well, first of all, this is something we take for granted. The water that comes out of our faucets in our home or through our irrigation system, our sprinklers on our lawn. This is something I never give a thought about, Debbie. That whether it is safe or not, I just assume it is. So if I really start thinking about it and where all the water is coming from and all the sources, okay, well, it doesn't totally surprise me that something like E. coli pops up. So what is the game plan? I'm sure every water conservancy district in the state has got to have a plan for what to do if they find contaminated water.
And for parents, homeowners, you would have no clue if your child was running through a sprinkler that was also spewing E. coli on them as they were running through it. If you'd hook the hose to the slip and slide to have a fun afternoon with the kids so they could cool off. Yeah.
100%.
Right. No, you're an all-star dad.
Didn't give it a second thought.
Right, you're pushing the kiddos out of the way to be the first one through the slip and slide wall. No, I get it. Look, my kids had that same dad, right? It was like, please don't get hurt today. We don't need a visit to the ER. But so a lot of, fun times in summer are just turning to this, dreaded situations for families. And now these extreme precautions say, don't let your kids run through the sprinklers. If your child goes in the yard, don't let them put their hands in their mouth. Don't let them get any water in their mouth if they're going down that slip and slide. Don't even put the hose to the slip and slide and let them play. And if you're a backyard gardener, I mean, this is the beginning of the harvest season. Don't eat raw fruits and vegetables. Glove up if you're working in the garden so it doesn't come in contact with E. coli. I mean, I think you raise a good question, Dave.
So what's the game plan? Scott Paxman, CEO of the Weber Water Conservancy Basin. Scott, give us an idea. I would assume this is the nightmare, but I'm sure you have trained and planned for stuff like this. What do you do? What are the protocols?
Well, thanks, Debbie and Dave. I appreciate the opportunity, but you're right. This is basically just river water, as it is in most every secondary irrigation system. It's river water that has been untreated, no treatment at all, except for minor filter. We're getting out the big stuff, right? And it's being sent to everybody's residence for their lawn and garden use. And we've dealt with it for decades. We haven't had, to my knowledge, I mean, there's probably things that I haven't heard about, but to my knowledge, we haven't had any serious outbreaks of E. coli in the system. But we have on our website ever since the website was created. And before that, we sent out postcards at the beginning of every irrigation season with big cautionary language saying secondary water is untreated, unfiltered, that is used for irrigation of outdoor residential landscaping and garden. This water is non-potable, not suitable for human consumption, should not be used for outdoor recreation like filling pools or playing in sprinklers. Bold letters on our website, and we do it. We make sure it's there all the time because people move in that aren't familiar with secondary water, and they need to be educated. So any new move-in that has a new connection, we also give them materials that say, don't be drinking this water.
And I want to be clear, Scott, that you're with the Weber Water District. Lehigh, I don't know how many miles separates you. That's a different water system, and they're the ones dealing with. They're the ones dealing with the 12 reported cases of E. coli. And the warnings right now, the very extreme warnings about just basically don't even let your children put their hands in their mouth if they're out in the yard. So what I know a lot, because I was shocked when I moved here, and I moved here a long time ago, but I was a reporter and I was out and about, and I don't know, we were doing a summer, keep your kids cool story probably, and I was shocked when one family told me that their kids were like running through sprinklers of untreated water. And so basically, is this just like fecal matter potentially dropping on people's lawns from whatever is in the river?
Well, yeah, whatever's in the river. So it's no different than going boating or swimming in the river or swimming in a canal or any place that has untreated water. There's a good chance of high probability that it's got fecal matter, either from wildlife or from human waste or whatever. And so you're going to have that contact no matter where you recreate outside of your drinking water supply. So yes, you've got to just be cautious on wherever you go. And Lehigh is very similar. They're sending basically river water or stream water into their secondary system. So it's no different than any other secondary system or any other irrigation system.
So what do you do if there is an outbreak? If you do find E. coli, is there anything you can do, any mitigation?
Well, there is E. coli in every non-potable source. I can guarantee it.
Oh, so
it's just that we don't talk about it. We don't go and measure the E. coli in a river or a reservoir because wastewater systems send their treated effluent into the river. We take it out and send it to our secondary systems. So it's everywhere that you're recreating, guaranteed.
So is there anything that these water districts can do to is it, or just it's just a big red flag warning? I mean, I know Lehigh's been out testing their different sites and they've identified where they've said there's contamination in these different sites, but is there, like, I'm envisioning people in white suits, like, with Clorox cleaning out tanks, right? I mean, this is what we think of. I don't know how you guys work your miracles, but what miracle can you work to get the E. coli, to get the crap out of the water? There you go.
Nothing. The only solution, if you don't want to have that risk, is to treat every drop of water that goes into a residential yard. So, in other words, get rid of the secondary systems. Only send treated water into your yards. That is the only real solution. But other than that, it's education. It's making sure people understand. You don't drink out of the hose. You don't run through the sprinklers or fill up your little kiddie pool with secondary water and have your kiddies sitting there lapping up the water. It's not safe.
You don't water your gardens with secondary water.
How do you water
yours? We
yours?
do water our gardens, absolutely.
Yeah,
but you've got to be able to wash your vegetables before you don't just pick a strawberry and throw it in your mouth. There's just a lot of education that goes in with.
Well, what fun is that? Because I didn't.
What fun is E. coli?
I know, but I did not grow up with secondary water, and I lived in Cottonwood Heights, and so I didn't I don't think I had to worry about this. I had a different scenario in my backyard, but that was part of the joy of gardening. Was being able to be in the backyard with the kids and picking stuff and turning around and watching them stuff all the raspberries in their mouth.
Water it with culinary water.
Right, and I did.
Exactly.
I did, but that's how it was provided, right? I didn't.
Yeah.
So not every city has secondary water, though. Correct, Scott?
Absolutely not. Yes.
Yeah. So
in fact, most of the state does not have secondary water, but there's a large population base in Davis and Weber counties that do. And Lehigh is one of the bigger ones in Utah County, but there's others in Utah County that also do. But, yeah, it's not statewide for sure.
Well, Scott, I appreciate the secondary water that you send to my house. I've used it for years, never gotten sick. I love it.
Because it's cheap.
Yeah, I do. I love cheap.
Right? It's a lot cheaper.
So much cheaper. So much cheaper.
But tell that to the family with the little gal that has kidney failure, and they don't know if they're going to get her kidney functioning back. They won't know for another year. It's just a sad, sad scenario.
But I love Scott, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, that was great.
Scott Paxman with the Weber Water Conservancy Basin. He makes a very, very good point. There's E. coli everywhere, right? So if you're willing to go into a reservoir, if you're willing to go boating, if you're willing to go river rafting, if you're willing to go fishing, all of this is contaminated. That is not safe to drink. It's why we have all the filters. And occasionally people are going to get sick if they get that water. You could get every bit as sick by water skiing, falling into the water, and you inhale water, right?
People
Through
do.
a big crash. Of course that happens. So you could get you could absolutely get E. coli from recreating, and we don't give that a second thought.
Yeah.
So it's just be very aware when you're around untreated water, there are dangers.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
When a loved one, a part of your life, goes missing, you never give up hope.
Tree Warren went missing October 2nd, 1985.
Now, a fresh lead in the case is encouraging.
Roy City Police want to know if a particular spot on a mountain might hold evidence related to the disappearance of Cherie Warren.
KSL was at Causey Reservoir with investigators as they looked and hoped for some answers. We'll have details this week as the story unfolds on KSL News Radio.
You know, in the summer when we're out playing, we're recreating, we're getting sweaty and hot, and then you take like 10 showers. I swear my shower is constantly running in my household because everyone's washing off the gross sweat and the dirt. Well, part of the reason my wife and I decided to get a water softener was because it's very hard on our skin. You know how you get out of the shower and you just feel so dried out? When we got our Connecticut water softener, we could tell a difference from the very first time we took a shower. You could tell the difference that soft water makes. And Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country. So when we started taking these soft water showers and not having to bathe in lotion immediately after, I thought, oh boy, I'm so glad. I wish we had done this years before. If you're interested in getting soft water into your home and making that investment, saves your skin, your dishes, your laundry, your expensive appliances. All you have to do is give Connecticut of Utah a call. Let them come out to your house. It's super efficient. Uses a third of the salt, 2/3 less salt than the other guys. So 801-576-8600 is the phone number, 801-576-8600. Or check them out online, Connecticut of Utah at softwaterutah.com.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Join KSL in the movie show this Friday from 9 to noon at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road. NPSstore.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, how much water should companies that extract minerals be allowed to take from the Great Salt Lake? And how much should they pay for it? The Utah legislature could address both questions. Second, a domestic violence incident led to an officer-involved shooting in the Kearns West Jordan area overnight. And third, the Republican candidate who's never held elected office may have had one of the better showings at last night's debate. Right now, we're at 73 degrees, partly cloudy skies in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, we certainly have lots of questions today after the apparent death of Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin in that plane crash in Russia yesterday, which we broke in and covered as we were learning information about it from the networks. We don't know what caused it yet, but we do know that his involvement with the war in Russia and is the way he kind of turned on Putin. You said it was a coup attempt, Dave.
Yeah,
could have been the reason why.
Well, we do know this, even though there's a lot of questions that are still out there. If you go against Vladimir Putin, you end up dead. If you're a political rival, if you're a military rival, you can use whatever excuse you want, but conveniently for Vladimir Putin, all his rivals end up dead, in jail. Something bad happens. And it does not surprise me in the least that Yevgeny Prigozhin is presumed dead in a plane crash.
Yeah, Dr. Frederick H. White, professor of Russian and Integrated Studies at Utah Valley University. You have a lecture about this?
Yes. Actually, I was just about ready to start my course, Russia Under Putin, as I got the text about this. So I could start off the course noting how relevant the information we were going to cover for the semester would be. So it was kind of a good moment, I guess, for my students.
What does this mean? Can you give us a little background about what happened to Prigozhin after his mutiny in June?
Yeah, so Prigozhin, along with his Wagner mercenaries, were allowed to move their base of operations to neighboring Belarus. And this was a negotiated settlement when Prigozhin and the Wagner group stood down and didn't take Moscow. However, Prigozhin himself is regularly still seen in Moscow and St. Petersburg doing business. So the negotiated amnesty at least seemed to allow him complete freedom.
And then, what was your reaction when you saw this happen and all of a sudden it seemed like everything was copacetic between Prigozhin and Putin? Did you trust it?
The last time I was speaking to both of you, I think I offered two possibilities. One possibility was that he would end up dead, that he had crossed Putin and that he would end up dead. But the other possibility is that maybe this coup or mutiny was an attempt for Putin to test loyalty. So for a while, it looked like the the testing of loyalty may be the option since Prigozhin was basically going free.
Frederick H. White is professor of Russian and Integrated Studies at Utah Valley University. We're talking about yesterday's confirmed death of Yevgeny Prigozhin in Russia, just north of Moscow, where his plane went down. 10 people on board. I want to back up just a little bit because I don't think I did a great job. If our listeners aren't familiar with what his role was in the war against Ukraine, back us up just a bit, Professor, and talk about what went down in June in a nutshell.
Yeah, so Wagner Group is a kind of a mercenary group that Putin had been using in Ukraine, but also in Africa, in the Middle East. And this was a way for, in some ways, for Putin to kind of control the military because it was kind of an alternative. Prigozhin had a long-standing relationship with Putin, and so it was easy for him in some ways to control Wagner. What ended up happening, though, is that Prigozhin didn't feel that he was getting the military assistance that he needed, the weapons that he needed, so forth. And so he started what's been called a mutiny or a coup, and he claimed that it wasn't against Putin himself, but really against the military command structure. He was after Sergei Shoigu, who was the Minister of War, if you will. They took a city in the south that was a command city and then started actually heading towards Moscow. This was called off at the last minute, kind of with a negotiated settlement that Prigozhin would stand down, would stop his assault towards Moscow, and for that, then he got amnesty, and that's how he ended up in Belarus.
Yeah, big amnesty wink. I was definitely with you. I thought there was a real chance that he would end up dead, and that certainly seems to be what happened. So if the Putin government killed Prigozhin, why now? And then what happens to the Wagner Group?
Yeah, so I think there's several reasons. One, of course, is that the mutiny made Putin look weak. And as you noted in your introduction, Prigozhin's death then kind of reconfirms this idea that you do not move against Putin without deadly consequences. But the other part of it was that Putin really had come to the point where he wanted to take over operations of the Wagner Group. They're still doing a lot of work in Africa and in the Middle East. And so this was a way to kind of seize control. We have to keep in mind that along with Prigozhin on that flight were two top officials from the Wagner Group. And so in a way, the plane crash decapitated the Wagner leadership. And so most likely the Putin government will now install a new leadership group with Wagner that is loyal to the Kremlin.
So let's just step over then to the war in Ukraine. Does this have any impact on that war?
I don't think so, in the sense that Wagner Group had already – so there had been a plan, and this is another reason that Prigozhin started his coup in June. There had already been a plan for the military to subsume a lot of the Wagner troops that were in Ukraine into the regular military. And so part of Prigozhin's upset was the fact that he was going to lose control over those troops. Most of those troops have already, if they didn't go to Belarus with Prigozhin, they've already become part of the standard military there in Ukraine.
Does the Wagner Group have any loyalty toward Prigozhin?
Yes. They followed him on his coup, which was really crazy if you stop to think about it, without questioning. They took Rostov-on-the-Don. They set off to Moscow. When Prigozhin then said, stop, we're going to turn around, they stopped and turned around. When he said we're going to Belarus, they went to Belarus. So he had a lot of loyalty among his troops. And this is probably, honestly, why Putin had to ultimately eliminate him, because if he was going to take control of Wagner, he had to get Prigozhin out of the way.
We've got about 30 seconds left, Professor, but I have to ask you this question. Do you think the plane was shot out of the sky, or do you think this plane crash was Not an accident?
Okay, so I think it's really important. I'll try to do this quick. Prigozhin is known to have body doubles and wear disguises. And even though his name was on the manifest, we don't know officially that he died in that plane crash. So conspiracy theorists will probably continue to think he's alive. But I think almost everybody else understands that this was a message sent by Putin and the Putin government, right, that he has that he's not to be tested. So I think it was probably a bomb or something like that blew it out of the air.
Well, Professor, if Evgeny Prigozhin pops up alive, that will be quite the news story, and we'll definitely reach out to you. But thank you. Your expertise is invaluable here to really explain what is happening in Russia right now and how it may affect the war in Ukraine.
Straight ahead, we're actually going to stay with Utah Valley University because we got them calling the show. They have partnered with Amazon. If you want free tuition, if you want free college tuition, stick around. We're going to tell you about that next.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. A man is dead following a domestic violence investigation. An officer-involved shooting in a neighborhood on the Kearns-West Jordan border. Unified Police Sergeant Melody Cutler says they were first called to the home last night around 9:30 before they got called back just after midnight. And she says that's when 46-year-old Aaron Zimmerman showed a gun before officers shot and killed him.
It's just a really tragic situation, ultimately, what it is. And all too often, some of our situations that end this way are homicides. Those things are domestic violence related.
The 4 other adults in the home are okay, as are the officers. 3, though, now on paid leave. Remember, if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, there is help available. You can call the 24/7 Utah Domestic Violence Link line at 800-897-LINK or 5465. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The 8 candidates who took the stage for last night's Republican presidential debate were fighting to stand out, and all the while standing in the shadow of former President Trump, who wasn't even there. Instead, he recorded a conversation with former Fox host Tucker Carlson that went out on X, what used to be Twitter.
Many people said you shouldn't do them, but you see the polls have come out, and I'm leading by 50 and 60 points. And, some of them are at 1 and 0 and 2. And I'm saying, do I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president? Should I be doing that? And a network that isn't particularly friendly to me.
Trump says he'll probably skip the next debate as well. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 183 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is down 139. And our KSL weather, we could see more thunder showers this afternoon and tomorrow. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight. The traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by 2 guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company, building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100, or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Warmer weather is here, and Skinny Utah would like to help you shape up for summer by losing 20 pounds in the next 40 days. That's right, 20 pounds in as little as 40 days. That's the Skinny Utah promise. Skinny Utah will customize every plan because no 2 bodies are alike. Their proven program is 100% natural. There are never any prepackaged meals or shakes to buy, and they never use dangerous drugs or hormones. Skinny Utah will teach you how to eat real food you buy at the store. Take the first step to a healthier new you and schedule your free weight loss strategy session at skinnyutah.com. A $300 value, absolutely free. Skinny Utah has offices in Draper, Orem, Centerville, and St. George, and they're extending their couple special, where the second person is half price. Schedule your free weight loss strategy session today at skinnyutah.com. That's skinnyutah.com. At Skinny Utah, you have nothing to lose but the weight.
At the UPS store, you can ship it all. We're your bulky sports equipment shipping store, your heavy luggage shipping store, your fancy art shipping store. We're even your I can't believe it's already time for back to school shipping store. So visit your neighborhood We Ship It All store for dependable UPS shipping with easy-to-use tracking and competitive rates. The UPS store. Be unstoppable. The UPS store locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly.
We still have delays southbound I-15 in Utah County. This is between 800 North and Orem and the Center Street exit. It's all due to a crash that has shut down that exit ramp to Center Street, and 2 right lanes of main flow I-15 remain blocked. So everybody's got to move to your left. The good news is we don't have a lot of traffic this time of the morning, so it's not huge across Utah. Revere has you covered for all your health needs. Revere Health, your partner in health, your partner for life. Online at reverehealth.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, a good chance for more afternoon and evening thunderstorms today and in the mountains tomorrow. And the weekend will be drier and warmer with highs in the 90s. Right now, 75 degrees, partly cloudy skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I think more and more we're seeing that companies are looking to lure new employees through their benefits package. And one of those benefits I think is exceptional is pay for college tuition. Yeah, we're going to cover the cost of college. You just have to work here for a few months. And we're going to cover, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year or whatever it is. I like it.
I've got a couple of college-age kids. Most of yours are done. But I've got some college-age kids that are looking at this, and where they work right now, they are absolutely taking this into account. In fact, they were not moving from one job to another unless they offered some sort of tuition payment program. Kids? Yeah, and
that's
this
smart,
is
Dave.
Deb, this is for part-time work as well. Which I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you sure you're reading that right? But yeah, part-time job at a restaurant.
Wow,
and
that's
they're offering
impressive.
Tuition.
The restaurant
repayment.
must want them to maybe stay with the company.
Well, and there's
a
few things that have played into this of why businesses may be doing this. One place my son was working, they said, "Oh, we'll give you," it was like $5,000 or $6,000 a year toward tuition.
That's good.
But if you leave within 2 years, then you have to repay it. Then it's basically just a loan. So they are tying these kids or the employee to the company for a significant period of time. Some programs do that.
In a moment, we're going to get Utah Valley University on the line because they've teamed up with a company to cover tuition costs. We're going to ask about that program and talk about what you have to do to qualify. Apple offers full-time employees. I'm looking at bestcolleges.com. I am sure this is an amazing website to do this type of research. Apple, $5,200 annually in education expenses. That includes including tuition. I would hope so. That's an education expense. Bank of America, employees up to $7,500 a year. Apple's, what did I say, $5,200 a year. Apple's, so Bank of America's a couple $1,000s more. Best Buy does it. Chipotle, 100%. Some may qualify for 100% tuition reimbursement. CVS pharmacies, Disney pay 100%. FedEx. I could go on and on. This list is huge. Like, I'm only on the F section. Let's go to Home Depot. How about Home Depot? Up to 50% educational costs. I read that Walmart will reimburse you all but $1 a day.
All but?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It'll cover it, but all but $1 a day. And I'm like, okay, so it's $365 a year to have, if you work for Walmart, to have your employer reimburse you. I could do $1 a day. It's a cost of a cup of coffee at McDonald's. Yeah, I could skip that. So I like what your kids are doing, Dave. I think that's financially smart.
Wade Oliver joins us right now, director of the Amazon UVU program. Apparently, UVU has partnered with Amazon to do something similarly. Wade Oliver, thanks for joining us. How does this work?
Thanks. We're thrilled to be with you. It's an exciting place to be right now here at UVU, and this is an exciting partnership with Amazon that we have. It works by way of being an employee at Amazon. If you've worked there for at least 90 continuous days, part-time or full-time, you're eligible for this program. Wow. You simply go through the admission and registration process of their partner institutions, and then Amazon works with us to get that tuition paid.
Now, I'm curious how the program works. Is it a reimbursement, so the kids got to put the money in up front and then they get reimbursed, or do you work directly with Amazon?
We work directly with Amazon for that. The student goes through an Amazon portal to let them know that, hey, we're registered, we're ready for our tuition. And then Amazon reaches out to us and we work out a way for them to pay that. They pay that through, just like we're used to with Amazon. Everything is pretty intuitive and it's pretty simple. And we work with them and they send that money right over to us.
Well, I like that because often employees will have to front the tuition costs and then they get the reimbursement in a later paycheck. But I like that employees don't have to put that money up first. I think that's an incentive as well if the company is just paying you directly. Oliver, Wade, talk about like how many people are already signing up for this and what kind of degrees are available.
So we're just getting started in this,
new.
and so brand new. And students are already finding their way. We're in the double digits. They'll continue to find their way. We anticipate quite a lot. Amazon has many employees in our state, and so we're thrilled with that. Now, as far as the degrees, we have over 200 different options for students to pick from. They're often very interested in online programs, and our UVU online program has over 40 degrees available online for students to pursue, or they can attend face-to-face or a mixture of both.
So let me get this straight, because often companies, when they will reimburse, they want you to get a degree that makes sense with what that company's function is. But is this just they can choose from any degree on the menu, on UVU's menu of degrees?
Yep, that is exactly right. They can choose from anything that we have, kind of our 4-credit offerings. So which is all of these majors that we have here at UVU, they can choose from any of them. And to make it even more interesting is Amazon doesn't even require their employees to stay with the company after they've taken advantage of this. They want their employees to be ready for advancement at Amazon or just in another career anywhere else.
So they're just trying to make life a little easier financially, it sounds like, for these folks who want a degree.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm sure that they have a tremendous benefit themselves by these students that are completing schooling at a wonderful institution like UVU. Helps them to be excellent employees for them and Amazon and their goodwill. It encourages them to follow their dreams wherever it takes them.
Now, when you said they don't need to stick with the company, I'm assuming you're saying once they graduate, they're not obligated to work for Amazon after that. But you said you have to work at least 3 months for Amazon before you qualify for this. Then do you have to continue working for Amazon through the rest of the semester while you take advantage of this? How long do you have to stick with Amazon?
So you can leave Amazon at any time. As far as leaving Amazon in the middle of a semester, to tell you the truth, I'm not entirely sure, but I can't imagine that Amazon, based on the way they're approaching this, that they're going to do anything but support their folks. And so a student, an Amazon employee, can leave the company whenever they want. They lose the benefit, of course. After that, there won't be any more money paid for them, but it's very flexible.
Just to be clear, tuition only, no books and fees?
Nope, it covers all of it. It covers up to a dollar amount. Full-time employees, it's a little over $5,250, and part-time employees, it's half that, $2,625.
A year or a semester?
A year.
A year. Wow. Wade,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
My pleasure.
it. Yeah, no, we saw that. We saw the story. We heard about it on Utah's Morning News. I was driving in the other day. Tim and Amanda were talking about it. Wade Oliver, director of the Amazon Utah Valley University tuition program. Great information.
Yeah, you can get a little over $5,000 a year if you're working for Amazon. This is something I didn't know. This is something that is unique to this program, is that it will cover tuition, books, and fees. It's just up to a dollar amount. So that is extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to work there 90 days to qualify. So it's not like they're asking you to work there for 2 or 3 years. You get there, you work 90 days. I mean, I go to sleep and I wake up and it's 3 months later.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Sometimes we're faced with a crossroads in life and we don't know which path to take. Maybe you're thinking about a career change or feeling like your relationship needs some TLC. Whatever it is, BetterHelp Therapy can help you map out your future and trust yourself to find the way forward. BetterHelp is entirely online therapy that offers video, phone, or even live chat online therapy sessions. You have a busy life, so BetterHelp is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist in under 48 hours, and you can also switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Give BetterHelp Online Therapy a try and get on your way to being your best self. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/KSL. That's betterhelp.com/KSL.
It takes a lot of patience to be an investor these days. Record high inflation, layoffs, record high debt leading to debt ceiling talks. But in the meantime, the market is looking ahead, reacting to what could happen next. You don't have to do this alone. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, telling you to take advantage of the high interest rates while they're here. Regardless of what's going on in the world, there are winners and there are losers when it comes to what you put your money into now. Because of the high interest rates, you may qualify for an upfront bonus of up to 25% just for opening an account and guaranteed growth of up to 10% for your retirement income. This exists because of the high interest rates. Don't leave your money sitting in the bank earning nothing or leave that 401k constantly fluctuating. Roll it over and open an account with Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Boyd Matheson invites you to think about the news differently.
One of the things that we have to do with news is we have to be a lot more curious. It used to be that we could just sit back and let the news come to us. Now we have to be a little more intentional if we're going to get down to the real issues and have the real conversations.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, Man was shot and killed by police last night in what started as a domestic violence incident. Second, Real Salt Lake fans disappointed by a loss last night that'll keep Lionel Messi from coming to Utah for a match. Third, former President Trump wasn't there at last night's Republican presidential debate, but he still managed to be the center of attention. Right now, we're at 75 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
KSL in the classroom. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, we were supposed to be live this morning at Springville High School, but we had some gremlins in the lines down there, so we had a broadcast nightmare going on. So we are back here at Broadcast House, but looking forward to talking to the Nebo School District about a couple of really important issues I think kids and parents would be interested in. Getting prepped to go out of state to college, and what the options are there. Is it even affordable? And then also the importance of internships in high school.
Yeah, there's CTE programs, there's college education programs. There are opportunities when you're going through school that are really, really intriguing. Too often, I think, right now, and I'm seeing this, my son's a senior right now, they have enough credits to graduate. They basically have to only go to maybe one or two classes for their entire senior year. The rest they fill up with either really fun, silly classes or home release, and they don't take advantage of some of the CE courses or internships that are out there. Joining us right now, Brad Northcutt. Thanks, Brad. But can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of internships? Because I'm watching the seniors right now all rolling through with super easy schedules and missing out on opportunities.
Absolutely. And Dave, let me just tell you, I feel for you. I feel for you. My youngest is a senior right now, and it's a big, scary world out there, and I understand. Internships are awesome because kids have spent their whole lives thus far learning in the classroom and getting theoretical knowledge. But with internships, they're actually able to go out in the community, into a community partner, to a business, and learn and do on-the-job stuff, within reason, obviously. But this gives them opportunities that they don't normally have. And then number two, if they have to show that that this is something they want to pursue a career path in. So they had to have some related classes. So they're going in there with experience and taking that experience and using this internship as their capstone program to say, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is my career path.
Brad, are these internships paid internships, or are they kind of volunteer internships?
They are volunteer. However, I would guess district-wide, 25 to 30% of our interns get hired at their internship locations. We kind of tell them it's about a 3-month job interview, and if they can show up and if they can do well and maintain a good attitude, which we've got some incentive on the line, they're getting high school credit for it. They can really impress upon their employers what kind of person they are and their character, and get hired. But to answer your question, no, they are volunteer, unpaid internships.
Okay.
What an outstanding way to describe it, though, and to explain it to the kids. It's a 3-month job interview. It's hard enough to get a job interview in the first place, but one where you can actually sit down and show them your skills, I can see great value in that.
So what kind of internships are offered? Where are these kids going to work?
Great question. So I've got a student at. Am I allowed to name names? I'm going to name names.
Sure, why not?
I've got a student at U.S. Synthetic in Orem. He wants to be an engineer, and he's working with their engineering department, and they're doing projects. They're designing things. They give him his own workstation.
Wow.
They're teaching him CAD/CAM, and he comes every day, and they give him projects, and he works on them, and he gets feedback. He has mentoring from a supervisor, and sees exactly what an engineer in that capacity would do each day as they go to work. Another super popular one we have is anything with healthcare. I've actually got 4 students at the Spanish Fork Hospital, Intermountain Hospital this semester, and they go through every department of that hospital: administration, security, lab, ER, surgery, custodial. They get an experience with every department of that hospital to see that, they may say, well, I want to be a physician or I want to be a surgeon. and that's awesome, and they get to experience that, but they also get to see every other facet of hospital operations.
Brad Northcutt, thank you for joining us
it.
and educating us and helping us understand the opportunities that are out there. Internships coordinator. Thank you.
Yeah, every parent at the dinner table tonight with the high school seniors. So we ought to be checking into some of these internships. They sound super cool.
Yeah.
And you'd know if you love that line of work, or if you didn't like that line of work, you could pivot and move on to something else. Love the idea. Michael Johnson, Springville High counseling team, on the line with us right now, joining us because Dave also wanted to talk about getting our juniors and seniors prepped to go out of state to college, right, Dave?
I don't just want my kids to move out. I want them to move out, like out of state. I say that half in jest, but can you tell me, Michael, what options are out there? Because I know out-of-state tuition can be extremely expensive, even prohibit kids from going out of state. But what options are out there?
Well, there are several options out there. One of the things that students always want to look at are the scholarships that are available. And the primary places to look for the scholarships are first from their own high schools. Most high schools have a number of scholarships that are just for their graduates, and they're not restricted to what college they're going to. Here at Springville High, we have between 30 and 35 just for our graduates. Only a handful of those specify a college. So they can be looking at their home school. They also want to look at the college they'll be attending. Many schools have opportunities for out-of-state students. And so if they're checking those websites, their college financial aid websites, they'll find a lot of opportunities there to help them pay for college when they're coming from out of state.
Are there any colleges that have like cooperative tuition agreements where you pay in-state tuition even though you're an out-of-state student, or you get a reduction in the tuition?
There are a handful of schools that do things like that, especially schools that are really close. The most common one that students participate in is a program called Western Undergraduate Exchange. And that's for between the 14 western states, so Alaska, Hawaii, all the way up to North Dakota. They're all included. They have certain institutions that are available. It's not quite in-state tuition, but I think it's roughly about 1.5 of in-state tuition, so it does end up being cheaper.
Significantly.
Out-of-state tuition can be extremely expensive compared to in-state tuition, correct?
It can. And we're actually really lucky here in Utah because most of our schools, their out-of-state tuition is about comparable to other schools' in-state tuition.
Michael Johnson is with Springville High School. He's on the counseling team. Do you have most kids want to stay in-state when they graduate, or are they, I don't know, kind of adventurous and more interested in maybe moving away from home?
Right now, what I'm seeing is most students want to stay close. We have a handful that are adventurous, but when they come down, they're looking at it, and cost-wise, staying in Utah is very worthwhile. We have a number of programs at our universities that can do just about anything.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. Michael Johnson from the Springville High School. He's part of the counseling team there. And Deb, I just pulled up what in-state tuition versus out-of-state tuition costs at Utah Valley. So we were talking to Michael, and he's down in Utah County. UVU is $6,000 for in-state tuition per semester. Out-of-state tuition is nearly triple that, $17,000.
When my youngest was looking at going to college, and she was a sophomore or junior. Anyway, she had me touring college campuses early on. Like, I'm like, you're not even out of 8th grade. What are we doing? No, she was just very ambitious about it. So we were over in Colorado, and we went to her college there, University of Colorado. I can't remember. Beautiful campus. She loved the atmosphere. How old is she now? 23. So she would have been, this would have been about 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, $26,000 a year tuition for out of state back then. I don't know what it is now, but I had to break her heart the moment we got to the car. I'm like, don't even think about it. Don't even.
Wait. What was it? What was it?
$26,000 a year.
It's 38 now.
Well, so it was a bargain back then.
You were a bargain at 26.
I didn't know. It was like that investment was going to go up $10,000. $38,000, $36,000 now?
Yeah, $38,000.
Just so you know, that does not include the cost of housing.
Of course not.
Yeah. That was a separate
4 years, Deb. That's $160,000 just in tuition.
Yeah, there was no way we were going to afford it. I mean, we didn't even have the whole cost of college covered when she, stayed in state. So it's expensive. Any way that you can get ahead, either through an internship, putting that on a scholarship application, or getting a scholarship, or now we even talked about tuition reimbursement with UVU and the options there. If you missed it, you're going to want to podcast this part of the show.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour: the Deer Valley Ski Resort adding 3,700 acres to its skiable terrain. That will more than double the area that skiers can use at the resort. Much of this addition will be land that had been part of the planned Mayflower Mountain Resort. As part of the expansion, the resort says it's adding 16 new chairlifts and a 10-passenger gondola. There's also a new village planned for the base of the resort with retail, ski school, and children's programs. Some areas of Utah still mopping up after yesterday's big storms. The worst problems were at the St. George Airport. KSL News Radio's Kate Davis has more.
The airport is back up and running this morning with most flights right on time, but all the rainwater created a massive river flowing over Airport Parkway yesterday. National Weather Service meteorologist Kristen Cruz says we've just been getting storm after storm with all this tropical moisture, but we're going to get a break.
So it looks like almost the entire state of Utah, by the time we get to Saturday, we're going to see a drying and warming trend, and that'll continue into early next week.
St. George has about a 50% chance of storms today. Along the Wasatch Front, there's even less of a chance. Kate Davis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. There are many questions today after a mass shooting at Cook's Corner, a popular biker bar in Orange County, California, on Wednesday night. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
As investigators piece together how the mass shooting unfolded, it's believed the shooter was a retired police officer who may have been targeting his ex-wife. In what may have started as a domestic violence situation, then for unknown reasons spread to others in the bar, 3 victims were killed, 6 more injured, 2 critically. The gunman was shot and killed when deputies opened fire on him by his truck. He was reportedly reloading his gun or getting another gun.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on it or down on the day, 211 points right now, and the NASDAQ is down 146. And our KSL weather, there is a chance still of another thunderstorm. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I want listeners to feel like they want to share this conversation at the dinner table.
I want listeners to feel informed, more informed than when they joined this show, and they're more in the know than they've ever been before.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Lynn Thomas.
Well, Dan, there's a crash southbound I-15 at the off-ramp at Center Street in Orem. It's on the right shoulder, not slowing things down that much, but there's a little bit of slowing on I-15 as you approach Murray, and it's just very minor right now. Looking pretty good out there on the freeways. When it comes to trusted, affordable auto care, nobody does it better than Burt Brothers Tire and Service. I'm Lynn Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, good chance for more afternoon and evening thunderstorms today, and in the mountains tomorrow. The weekend will be drier and warmer with highs in the 90s. And right now we're at 79 degrees. It's partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
Right. Boyd's here. We just asked him as the minute he walked through the gates here at Broadcast House if he watched the debate last night. Because if he didn't, he wasn't getting into this party. Because it was spicy. It got so spicy last night. Looking forward to hearing Boyd's take on the primary debate between the GOP candidates last night for president.
There's so much to this debate, Boyd, that I found fascinating. Number one was everybody wanted to fight Vivek Ramaswamy. Like, Vivek was priority one for everybody, and they were all targeting him. They mentioned him. He was either first or second in amount of time spent speaking. Why the focus on Vivek?
I think a lot of it was – part of it was what he was saying – and people feeling the need to call that out. And if anyone's having flashbacks or PTSD to 2016, that's what it was. It was just a different version, a younger version of the former president. It was very Trump-esque in terms of what he did. He used a lot of pejoratives in describing the other people on the stage or responding to them. And so he kind of became this lightning rod that everyone was looking at. And I think there were a few who were strategically saying, look, he's getting a little bump in the polls. He's getting a little momentum. Not a bad time to maybe take him down a notch and maybe expose maybe some of his inexperience or some of the things that are a little out there.
And that happened a few times. It happened between Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. It happened between Vivek and Chris Christie. Let's listen to what he said about President Trump and his alliance and allegiance to President Trump.
President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact.
So, he gets the Trump supporters all riled up and excited, and then Chris Christie tries to slam dunk.
Here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct.
So in that moment, I don't know who wins or who loses, Boyd, but there was a lot of that last night, and it kind of got a little bit old at times. Yeah. And at times, to your point, I felt like Vivek kept he was like that kid in the back of the class that kept spit wads through the straw, and you're like, poke that guy in the eye kind of moments,
there was a little bit of a smugness there that kind of played through, and I actually think Tim Scott's kind of sidebar comment of, come on, people, this is not helping. Acting this way does not help the American people. That may have been the most important line of the night because it really showed that if you can have that kind of debate and you can have entertainment, or you can actually educate the public in terms of this is where we are as a country. We have some pretty serious things we ought to be debating and talking about, and having this kind of fifth grade my dad's tougher than your dad kind of conversation does not advance anything.
I think there were enough specifics that I heard where I felt, especially with Vivek, where this has been very common. He has a plan for everything, or he has an opinion on everything. And you don't necessarily have to agree with him, but you know where he stands. And I appreciate that more than any other candidate out there who tries to kind of play it both sides. And I see both sides of the argument. Like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what your plan is. At least with Vivek, I can say, I know exactly where that guy stands. He's going to get rid of the Department of Education. He's going to massively reform the Fed. He's going to reform the DOJ.
He's going to get rid of all the alphabet cops.
Yep.
I mean, all of them. He was just going down the list, right?
But at least I can say, you know what? I disagree with you there. I at least know where you stand.
Yeah, and I appreciate his honesty and his candor in terms of that. And he takes on a lot of those sacred cow kind of issues in a very straightforward way. But we also have to remember there's more to that than the bumper sticker component to it. End the Fed has been a bumper sticker slogan for more campaigns than anything in the history of the world. Saying climate change is not real. Bumper sticker, rile up the base, but that's not really a plan in terms of, look, we have to deal with all of these
things that he was saying, and I can't quote him specifically because there was 2 hours of debate. My eyes, I actually nodded off. I'm sorry, I did. I've been up since 4 in the morning. I'm like, I gotta wake back up. I mean, he was saying
I've heard my kids fight before.
He's saying weird things about single moms. He was saying Vivek was saying stuff about crime and criminals and mental health, 9/11 stuff. So
that's kind of where the exposure
to your point about
time.
Bumper sticker moments.
And I think Dave even said it. At times it kind of wears on you. It's like, okay, let's get a little more specific, a little more detail in all of this.
So I heard one of the analysts say last night, like, which of all of the candidates looked ready for prime time? Dave, who did you think?
Mike Pence.
Let me play.
President Biden will be 82 years old on Inauguration Day. Nearly 70% of Americans say that he is too old to serve. Should presidents have to pass a mental and physical test in order to serve, Vice President Pence?
Well, it might be a good idea to have everybody in Washington, D.C. pass a mental and but,
that might be the way to drain the swamp.
30 seconds. No, the American people can make those judgments. But let me say, I'm running for president of the United States because
I thought Mike Pence, and again, for some reason, and I don't totally understand this, Boyd, his numbers are abysmal. For some reason, he does not resonate with the base. But I tell you, he comes out every time he has a debate, whether it's as a VP, it does not matter. He excels.
He's an extraordinary debater. And the thing that we have to start looking at as voters, so let's get it back to kind of we the people, what we're watching and what we're validating. So to me, the question that everyone should be asking themselves, if you go back and watch the debate again, do it with the question in mind. One, who do you want sitting in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk when Vladimir Putin does something like he did yesterday? Who do you want behind the Resolute desk dealing with the economy or having a serious conversation about Social Security and Medicare? And sadly, what we've done is we've turned our politics into performative. And yes, it is a lot of performative jackassery, to quote Senator Sass. It's a lot of that. And sometimes what we're rewarding is someone who says, I want to be your leader. And so to be your leader, I am going to reflect all of your grievances. Vivek Ramaswamy did an extraordinary job last night, had some very strong moments, some very strong lines of reflecting the grievances of the American people. I know you're frustrated with this. I'm frustrated with that. I'm tired with all of these people. And so he went down that path. But the job is to be the head of the executive branch. It's not to be a Twitter person. It's not to be an analyst on CNN or a therapist or anything else. We've been studying a lot of Calvin Coolidge. Really interesting. So Calvin Coolidge took a lot of heat because he did not go to a disaster in Mississippi, a flood in Mississippi. And everyone criticized. He didn't go. He didn't go as commander-in-chief. It's because he doesn't it's not his home state. Well, about a month later, there was a flood in his hometown. He didn't go. And he didn't go because he didn't care. He didn't go because he trusted the states to do what the states were supposed to do. He had great humility and respect for what the office of the presidency is supposed to do and what states and communities are supposed to do. And so when we look at it from a national debate stage, we can get people up there who can make us all feel warm and fuzzy, or, oh, she's got my back, or he's got my back, or, yeah, he's saying exactly what I've been screaming at my radio and my TV all week. But that person doesn't necessarily solve your problem. You need someone who can actually govern in the executive branch.
We have no time left because every time we talk to you, boy, we just could talk about these things for hours. But honestly, Senator Tim Scott, I thought it was a little bit dry last night.
Yeah.
Somewhat of a fell flat. Doug Burgum, the broken ankle.
Yeah.
I don't know if that affected his performance last night, but
Torn
he ought to just
Achilles.
go back to
Achilles.
playing a little basketball.
Yeah.
Asa Hutchinson, what
Yeah.
happened to him?
So can we address those three really
Go,
fast?
go.
So really fast. So Tim Scott did not have a great night, and he never will on a debate stage because he hates artificial contention. He hates it. It's contrary to his nature. So he's always going to struggle on the debate stage, and I agree with you. Very flat, very senatorial, and very safe. But he's not going to excel there. He's going to be out amongst the people. Asa Hutchinson and Governor Burgum. Everyone says, why are they even there? Why are they even there? Are they delusional? What do they think? Here's what those two guys are doing. Sometimes, and you both have done this in your careers, sometimes you take an interview for a job you know you don't want or you know you won't get. But you take the interview because you believe I might be able to influence who does get that job or the shaping of what that position comes. And if you go back and actually listen to a couple of answers, especially from Asa Hutchinson, there's some great policy in there that should shape the conversation about our border, about dealing with fentanyl, dealing with the thugs and bad guys across the border, and our criminal justice system. Both of those guys are not delusional. They don't think they have this, golden path to the presidency, but they are both there because they believe they have a responsibility to shape the conversation about what the position should be and what the next nominee should actually look like.
Boyd Matheson, thank you for joining us Inside Sources today, 1 to 3.
And notice
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-new station in the morning?
It's this one, weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
It was a wild night after a computer crash at the University of Utah Hospital.
Systems back up and running.
A server crash meant patients were directed to other emergency rooms and prescriptions went unfilled. We'll have updates this week on the U's recovery and what it means for patients. Listen between 3 and 7 to Utah's news station, KSL News Radio.
Needing a mortgage? Press 1 if you're purchasing a home. Press 2 if this home is a refinance. Press 3 if you need cash back. Your wait time is 20.
Need a great way to begin a home mortgage loan? Pressing buttons hoping that you'll end up with an actual experienced loan officer is not a smart way to start. Often it brings higher rates, higher costs, and long closing times. On the other hand, you can call Loans by Rick and speak directly to Rick, a mortgage lender that has closed thousands of loans since 2002. Rick will pick up your call every time. You only talk to Rick, not option 1, 2, or 3. Closing is fast in 12 to 22 days from submission to clear to close, with low rates and low closing costs. Call Loans by Rick at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE. Or click loansbyrick.com. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106 are equal housing lenders.
Every business deserves a great deal. That's why, for a limited time, we're launching the Mobile Made Free event. With Comcast Business Internet, new and existing customers can get 1 year of unlimited mobile for free. Yep, you heard that right. An entire year, free. It's our best internet, powered by the next generation 10G network and with 99.9% reliability, plus 1 line of free mobile for a year. The Mobile Made Free event is happening now.
Get started with internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, for a limited time only, ask how new and existing customers can get a free line of unlimited mobile during the Mobile Made Free event. Call or go online today to learn more. Ends 9/21/2023. EcoBill and autopay required. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Mobile offer requires 100 megabits per second internet package and new unlimited intro mobile service. Other restrictions apply.
President Trump, who is supposed to surrender in Atlanta this afternoon, already has a trial date set in that fourth indictment case.
Kate Davis joins us right now. Kate, what do you have?
Yeah, Dave, we're hearing from the Fulton County District Attorney there in Georgia that they have set a trial date for the former president on October 23rd, so just about 2 months away.
Has the former president, already asked for a continuance, a delay? Because I'm sure that will happen in 3, 2, nothing official?
Right. Nothing official. I got this in maybe 2-3 minutes ago. Just this news is fresh into the newsroom. But yeah, we're expecting him to surrender just later this afternoon. His bail is set at $200,000. We're still haven't heard from the former president yet. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Maybe this afternoon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kate. I think he's supposed to surrender this afternoon in Fulton County, sometime around 4:30 their time. So later in the day, of course, Jeff Kaplan will have all of those details. And we're back in just a flash.
Usually, when you want to get something done to your house, it's always nice to have the kids out of the way. Well, fall is coming, and so is back to school. And when that school bell rings, you'll have the opportunity to get those floors done without all the footsteps through the day. Mike and Sterling's Flooring America has over 40 years worth of back-to-school flooring under their belt, right here in Utah. And now's a perfect time to freshen up your home and a lot of holidays to come. Mike and Sterling's Flooring America is part of one of the largest buying groups in the nation, which gets you great pricing. And of course, a lifetime labor warranty and 12 months no interest, so you can enjoy your new flooring now and pay as time goes by. Google Mike and Sterling's Flooring America, or just drop by their beautiful showroom in Bountiful. Your options are endless. Seeing and feeling is believing. And now's the perfect time at Mike and Sterling's Flooring America.com. Mike and Sterling's Flooring America.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Deer Valley has announced a plan to more than double its skiable terrain by adding slopes that had been part of the planned Mayflower Mountain Resort. Second, a man was killed by police in what started as a domestic violence incident in Kearns last night. Third, it's going to be tough to determine whether any of the 8 Republicans running for president had a breakout moment in last night's debate. 79 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Former President Trump is definitely part of the conversation last night on the debate stage, and we're going to talk about his counter-programming with former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson in just a moment. We just heard from Kate Davis regarding what's going on in Fulton County, Georgia. President Trump expecting to turn himself in later this afternoon, 5 o'clock our time, right smack dab in the middle of afternoon drive. So you'll definitely want to keep it right here. Listen to Jeff Kaplan and the news team's coverage of that. We understand that it was just a little bit ago, sometime this morning, it looks like just moments ago, this crossed that the Fulton County District Attorney, of course, it's hard to keep track of all of these indictments, but this is the one that has to do with the pressure to kind of change the election results there in
Find the
Georgia.
11,780 votes.
You say that every time so well. You make me, every
Just
time,
find it.
Every time you walk in the newsroom and you shout that out, I fall to the floor laughing. It looks as though the district attorney or the county attorney, district attorney, Fonnie Willis, has filed a motion to move the trial date up to October 23rd. I think she really originally wanted it in March, but that's going to be too close in my view.
Well, and I joked that the Trump team will ask for a delay. That's because they've already made this request that they push the trial date to 2026, according to the New York Times. They say, listen, we have to go through 11 million pages of evidence. That's what the Trump defense is saying. We got to go through 11 million pages of evidence. We're not going to be ready in 2 months.
Well, and he's got all of the other potential trials, depending on how those indictments shake out. but that's too far out. Hers, in my view, is just too close. I don't know how you put 19 people on trial in a RICO case in the next 2 months. I mean, they must be ready to go. But also, you got to give his side a chance for discovery. And I don't know if there's 11 million pages of information or not, but they do have the right to look through the information. But there's also it's just unwieldy. But that's what we know so far. What we also know is that President Trump was a no-show last night on the debate stage. And Tucker Carlson, who helped him counter-program his interview on X, formerly known as Twitter, asked him why no debate.
I just felt it would be more appropriate not to do the debate. I don't think it's right to do it. If you're leading by 50, 60, I have one problem leading by 70 points, and I'm saying, why am I doing it? And I'm going to have 8 people, 10 people, whoever made the debate. I don't know how many it is, but I'm going to have all these people screaming at me, shouting questions at me, all of which I love answering, I love doing, but it doesn't make sense to do them. So I've taken a pass.
I heard someone describe it like this. They said, had Trump been on the stage last night with those other 8 candidates, there would have been a Trump piñata. Everyone taking swings. Everyone taking swings.
Right. What a distraction. You'd said earlier in the show when we were talking about the 8 candidates and kind of breaking down what they'd said and where there'd been some moments that sort of shined to us that you're like, you're glad it wasn't Trump, 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 Trump. I'm literally quoting you right now. Trump, 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 Trump. And it really wasn't.
No.
There was a time when they did specifically focus on Trump. I thought it was kind of a little bit time wasted. Personally, I wanted to hear more of the policy discussion and where the candidates stand. But they had to address the proverbial elephant in the room. Right. And Tucker Carlson also did that by asking President Trump about the 4 indictments he's facing.
How do you get indicted, every week and stay cheerful?
It's, I think it's a lot easier because I'm so high in the polls, because it means the people get it. The people see it's a fraud. The people see it, like this horrible district attorney from just a little while ago, from essentially Atlanta, that's Fulton County. She said, basically, I don't have any right to challenge an election. Well, what about Stacey Abrams? What about Hillary Clinton? What about all of these Democrats that are still challenging my election? The same people that are saying he's challenging an election challenged my election.
I mean, he's kind of not wrong. Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor, said that she really won the election. Hillary Clinton, she said the exact same things. But the problem is, in this situation specifically, he called up an official that was over elections and was asking him, the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to find him 11,780 votes. Right? I mean, it's similar. It's not identical, but there you have it.
Well, he also he feels like they're going to try to steal the election again, right? I mean, he just feels like if he doesn't win this year, then it must be stolen. I mean, he plays his greatest hits over and over and over. So you can't convince him otherwise. Let's hear what else he said about DeSantis. I mean, DeSantis really did not shine last night on the debate stage. So I'm curious to know. And of course, this was recorded beforehand with President Trump and packaged up and then posted on Twitter. But let's listen.
You're saying they stole it from you last time. Why wouldn't they do the same this time?
Oh, well, they'll try. They're going to be trying, yeah. And not only me, Look, DeSantis is out. I think he's gone. So he was at a level. People have figured him out. He's gone. But if somebody else got in, other than me, they'll go at him just as viciously as they did me. These people are sick. They will go after them. And a lot of people say they won't be able to hold up.
It's always the victim. He always plays the victim. By the way, let's go back to that point that he was making or trying to make about the election. He did test the election results in the way that you're allowed to, and you should test them, and that's through the courts over and over and over again. And every judge ruled against him as well. So he wasn't afraid to put it before the courts, as have other presidents in the past. I mean, what was the dangling chads issue, and that was ultimately decided by the courts back in 2000. So, well, anyways, let's go to the last 2 minutes of the video. Tucker asked President Trump what his number one priority would be if he were back in office.
Let's say number one is a border and taking hundreds of thousands of criminals that have been allowed into our country and getting them out and bringing them back to their country, Guatemala. By the way, not only the 4 countries that we think of as neighbors, all over the world. Last month, we had 149 countries represented. Think of it. We had 149 countries represented, Tucker, from places that many people never even heard of, coming into our country. And they're coming in from mental institutions, and they're coming in from prisons. They're emptying out their prisons all over South America. They're emptying out their mental institutions. Terrorists are pouring into our country. We have no idea. I had the strongest border in the history of our country, and I built almost 500 miles of wall. I would seal up the border good and tight, except for people that want to come in legally.
First time I've ever heard him say this, that they're emptying out prisons and mental institutions and sending people across into the U.S. via the border. I've never heard this. I've never seen a story on this. But unsurprisingly, he didn't talk about the future. He didn't talk about the policies. It was so much about what happened in the past and then attacking other folks that whole interview was very, very light on, well, why are you running this time?
Would you like to have seen him on the debate stage after listening to portions of that interview with Tucker Carlson?
I would like to see him on the debate stage eventually. I thought it was refreshing not to have him suck up all the oxygen out of the room and hear from other candidates.
Well, and as I was watching the debate, it became clear to me there were already too many candidates on the stage. I know they all earned a right to be there, but 8 candidates, it was a lot to follow. Not everybody got a lot of time. There was a lot of yelling and talking over each other. So maybe, having it be a full baseball team on the debate stage, that might gotten a little more crazy.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. The family of the pilot killed in a plane crash in West Jordan yesterday has now released his name. Creighton King, they say, was a very experienced pilot who loved to fly. His single-engine cassette crashed near the Salt Lake Regional Airport yesterday afternoon. Utah Senator Mike Lee says the FBI raid and shooting of a man in Provo who had posted violent threats against President Biden deserves a serious investigation. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston has more.
Senator Lee has called elements of the raid unusual, like why FBI agents reportedly used a flash grenade and entered 75-year-old Craig Robertson's house so early in the morning. The senator says he's interested in hearing what agents did to avoid conflict, as well as what led up to their warrant. The FBI entered Robertson's house the morning President Biden landed in Utah, and they say Robertson was pointing a revolver at them when they entered.
In a felony complaint against Robertson, an FBI agent says he thought the Provo man's threats were legitimate because he posted pictures of the tactical gear and guns that he had referenced in his threats. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Fulton County District Attorney in Atlanta is requesting an October 23rd trial date for former President Donald Trump. The former president's bail has been set at $200,000. The case connected to alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The former president expected to surrender to authorities in Atlanta later this afternoon. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day, 246 points right now. The NASDAQ is down 159 points. And our KSL weather, we could see yet another thunderstorm this afternoon. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
On KSL News Radio.
The extracurricular activities, the traffic, the nightly homework, the traffic, the finding time to eat dinner together as a family, the traffic. Back to school can be stressful. Thanks to Ziploc, meal prep doesn't have to be. New Ziploc bags with Stay Open design have a patented stand-up bottom that helps keep the bag upright and a top grease that folds and holds for easy filling, unlocking a second set of hands in the kitchen. If only it unlocked a second set of lanes. New Ziploc brand freezer and storage bags with Stay Open design from SC Johnson, a family company.
2 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
There's desperation and anguish.
More than 80,000 Afghans have since arrived in America, but this story is still unfolding. I'm Andrea Smartin. In my new podcast, Stranger Becomes Neighbor, we'll find out what happens to these new arrivals in our communities. Who would help our newest neighbors? Follow us at kslpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Len Thomas. And our KSL weather, a good chance for more afternoon and evening thunderstorms today and in the mountains tomorrow. The weekend will be drier and warmer with highs in the 90s. Right now, 79 degrees, partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We're going to talk right now with House Speaker Brad Wilson. I wonder if he watched the debate last night. But we got lots to talk to him about because recently the Utah Republican Party opted out of the 2024 presidential primary like we know it. Like, you know, they're going to do it differently, but it's not different because they've done it this way before. So we're going to talk to him about it and get his thoughts on it.
But it's different than the way you're used to voting. Because right now, if you're voting for a primary, for example, CD2, Congressional District 2, you have a GOP primary right now. You can choose between Celeste Malloy, Bruce Huff, and Becky Edwards, and you'll receive a ballot. It's probably sitting on your stack of mail right now. You'll fill it out, you mail it in, or you drop it off. That is not how things are going to go in March.
Yeah. Good morning, House Speaker Wilson.
Good morning. How are you two today?
Good. Well, I want to ask you, did you watch the debate last night?
All 2 hours of it.
You even stayed for the closing arguments?
I did. It was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Just give us your quick take.
Well, I think there's some remarkably qualified candidates that participated last night. I thought there were moments of brilliance and also some moments of complete chaos. So that was kind of fun to watch. We'll see how it all shakes out. The field will start to narrow after what I think happened last night. And those that didn't perform as well will probably not be invited back, would be my guess. Yeah. But time will tell.
Yeah.
Well, it is all part of the GOP primary for president. This is something I think you can speak uniquely to in the sense that there's changes, but the state legislature set aside money to conduct a presidential primary and run the ballots. But the GOP, the state GOP, has decided not to go that route. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so legislature provided some resources so that the parties had options in terms of what they wanted to do, and the Republican Party's governing authority decided to participate on Super Tuesday, which I think is important, but participate via the caucus system instead of a primary vote, or instead of a vote that night. And I think it's good. It's what we did in 2016. It will get neighbors together in caucus meetings around the state, and they'll get a chance to connect in ways that, quite frankly, we haven't been doing as much as I think we could, and I think it's good for our political discourse to do that. I also believe, and this is probably the biggest upside from my perspective, because of the dynamic and the nature of caucus meetings, there's more of an expectation from those that participate that the candidates engage with us. And I actually believe you're going to see more of these presidential candidates participating in Utah and coming out to Utah because of the caucus system and doing it that way instead of just through an election. And I think that's going to be good for our state. We won't be as much of a flyover state as we've been in the past.
But if I recall, the numbers show that the caucus just doesn't get the turnout that a ballot primary gets. So while people are gathering in their neighborhoods, maybe they just don't love their neighbors enough, or they're, to show up at a caucus meeting, or they have soccer that night and they can't make that meeting on March 5th. I know the Republican Party has floated the idea that there's going to be alternatives to this, but I mean, turnout is a big deal, and I think we should be getting more people involved casting a ballot. And I don't know that the caucuses do that anymore. All due respect to that process, I'm not sure that's the way people operate anymore, is in their neighbor's living room raising their hands,
Yeah, I think that the party will do a great job of giving people the ability to have proxy votes if they can't get off work or if they've got to go coach something, so that people have different ways to participate. And, Deb, the only thing I would say is this. We live in a time where we seem to be more divided than ever, and it might actually do us some good to all get in a room together and talk about politics and talk about these candidates and weigh back and forth who makes the most sense. And maybe this is exactly what we need in our political discourse today, is to actually be together and talking to each other instead of at each other on social media.
How does it work? And we're speaking with House Speaker Brad Wilson, state legislature. How does it work, or how do you envision it? If I go to my caucus meeting, and are we just having conversations about the potential candidates? Is there a representative? Can you stand up on the stage and announce why you're voting for somebody or why you support someone? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the lay of the land in terms of how this will all be operated is yet to be determined, but I do suspect that you will see there will be avenues for people to share their perspective as to why they think a particular presidential candidate makes more sense than others, and people will then be able to weigh and make their decision that night if they haven't already made it, and that's what this is all about. And of course, by then we'll have a better feel for who really is in the field, and my guess is there will be less candidates to choose from, like there were in 2016. It was a much more narrow field than it started out to be, and Utahns, I think, because we'll be participating in this on Super Tuesday, our voice is going to be heard, and I think heard in a very constructive way through this caucus system. The voting system just generally, if we'd had an election that night, would have been fine. This actually saves us a lot of money as a state, which is also a nice thing.
So I was going to ask you, where does that money go? And if you get to save that money, how are we going to spend it?
Well,
Noriega College Fund is open.
Okay, yeah. Give us a skinny on the money, House Speaker. What happens? How much was it anyway? Well, I don't even know how much it was. How much are we talking? Millions or?
Yeah,
10,000?
It was in the millions.
Oh, wow.
No, it was in the millions, but it will just be unappropriated, and it will revert back to the legislature to reappropriate into something next year. And I'm sure the Noriega College Fund will be something that will be seriously considered,
sounds
Dave.
Super illegal.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, no, I'm going to protect both of you from yourselves. We're going to stop this conversation right now.
If you can't flow bad ideas to politicians, then what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well,
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, House Speaker Wilson, thanks. It was actually a really fun conversation to have with you today. Appreciate it. Let us know what you end up doing with that few $1 million that's going to be left over.
It'll be put somewhere the state really needs it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
yeah,
So,
well,
thank you very much.
Yeah, we thank you too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see if the caucus works. I mean, make some good points. Maybe it is time we all get back in the same living room together. I'll bring the macaroni salad.
There is something I think that
be a
is
potluck.
irrefutable, is too often we sit behind our computers or we look at our phones and we type away or we have our conversations or our opinions in an echo chamber. How often are you comfortably going to your neighbor, Debbie, quite honestly, and having a political conversation with meat? You know, where you're really having to make a decision.
Scary.
Yeah, because you're like,
so
I'm going to ruin
scary.
every relationship within a square block. Everyone is going to hate me.
I guess maybe if there's a group of people there, it would feel a little differently.
I'll tell you this. I know in my neighborhood, there are a lot of different political opinions. And I love all those people. I've got my best friends on one side, my other best friends on the other.
Just like you love me.
Exactly. and when you can have these conversations where you're like, I know I genuinely like you.
I know.
I want to know why you have crazy ideas. Because
the logic
you're not
behind the crazy ideas.
You're not assigning evil to that person.
That's true.
Because I know whatever you say to me is coming from a great place. Even if I disagree with your conclusion, I know that in your heart of hearts it's coming from a great place. And if the caucus system can do this, can resurrect a little bit of this humanity where we can see each other as people having differences of opinion versus differences in humanity, then that's a big win.
Well, I think everybody needs to hear that, Dave. Like, everybody who goes to a caucus needs to hear that and live by those rules, like the rules of Dave, because that would make for a pleasant experience. Yeah, we're not eating each other alive or running away angry from the caucus meeting
or ending a relationship.
Oh my goodness,
which has absolutely happened.
Yeah, it has. You're absolutely right. Oh, I love him, Dave. Dave's rules of how to run a caucus and still stay friends and neighbors.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For over 30 years, Best Friends Animal Society has been working to save the lives of cats and dogs all across America and giving pets second chances and happy homes. CEO Julie Castle joins us with more.
For more than 150 years in America, sheltered dogs and cats have been killed for simply not having a safe place to call home. But it doesn't have to be this way. Since its founding in 1984, Best Friends Animal Society has worked with shelters, rescues, and communities all over the country to reduce the killing from 17 million to 378,000 a year. This has been done through collaboration between public and private agencies, as well as innovative programming that helps the most at-risk dogs and cats. Best Friends is dedicated to making America a no-kill country by 2025. And we are so close to reaching this milestone. Every animal lover can help by fostering, adopting, donating, volunteering, or simply sharing about homeless pets in your community on social media. By working together, we will save them all. To learn more about how to save lives in your community, visit bestfriends.org.
Many shelters across the country are short-staffed and well over capacity, but you can make a difference. Help save the lives of animals across the country by adopting from a local shelter or rescue organization. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
KSL Traffic, I'm Len Thomas. We have a crash Utah County. It's SR 92 at US 189. Otherwise, in the Salt Lake Valley, eastbound I-80 heading toward the mouth of Harley's is slow in Sugar House up to 20th East and the ongoing construction gauntlet. Crossroads of the West Gun Show comes to the Davis Conference Center this weekend. Get great deals on guns, ammo, accessories, plus you can buy, sell, trade, or at the show. Len Thomas, the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm Bruce Huff, and I'm running for Congress. I spent the last 45 years working with others, building successful businesses, and employing over 1,000 Utahns. Today, Washington, D.C. is broken. More than ever, we need an innovator who can create solutions and fight the entrenched administrative state. I'm a full-time conservative. I'm the only candidate in the race that voted for Donald Trump in 2020. I'll fight to balance the budget, secure the border, and protect parental rights. I'm pro-life and pro-Second Amendment. I'll do everything possible to move power away from D.C. back to the states. I'll fight to give states more control by pushing for unrestricted block grants that could put an additional $30,000 into every K-12 classroom in Utah. I'll protect the most vulnerable in society by creating tougher penalties for child sex traffickers. I'll take Utah's values of faith, self-reliance, and hard work to Washington. I'm Bruce Huff, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Paid for by friends of Bruce Huff.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Hey guys, if you're a patient at another Wave clinic for ED, Revive will transfer your care for free. And for those that medically qualify, we'll give you 4 Wave treatments for free, plus a 1-month supply of ED medication when you start Wave treatment with us. Our Renaissance Wave therapy is proven, non-invasive, and far more affordable than other Wave clinics. Book your consultation today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Utah Senator Mike Lee wants to see an investigation of the FBI shooting that killed a man in Provo earlier this month. Second, Creighton King's family says he was a very experienced pilot who loved flying. King died when his plane crashed in West Jordan yesterday. Third, police in California trying to sort out the circumstances around a shooting at a biker bar. 3 people died, 6 more were injured. Right now, 79 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Presidential indictment. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
Let's talk about the tetraindictment. That's the 4th indictment in Fulton County, Georgia.
Is that a real word? The tetraindictment?
just...
Well done.
I've heard it a few places. I'm repurposing it here. I mean, it makes sense. It's hard to keep track of all of the... I think he's facing 91 criminal charges in total. We've got the one out of D.C. regarding the insurrection. We've got the one out of Florida, the federal indictment regarding the top secret documents at Mar-a-Lago. We've got the one in New York, which is a state indictment, and that involves the hush money payments. And then we have the one in Fulton County, Georgia, where he's supposed to surrender today at 5 o'clock our time.
That's a maximum statutory penalty of 641 years in prison.
Investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky with ABC News is actually already at the courthouse in Atlanta.
Former President Trump says on social media he is coming here to proudly be arrested. But before he does, ABC News has learned Trump is shaking up his legal team, bringing in a new lawyer to represent him here in Georgia. Lawyers who echoed Trump's false claims of election fraud in Georgia have already surrendered. Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and Jenna Ellis falsely claimed voting machines were controlled by Venezuela, ballots were manipulated, and dead people voted in massive numbers. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, Atlanta.
Proudly being arrested. I have never heard it referred to as that, but the former president, we expect, around 5 o'clock our time?
Which is smack dab in the middle of the afternoon drive. And that's where our Jeff Kaplan will be, I'm certain, covering that story. Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, live on the line with us right now, just saw news break. In fact, we broke it here about an hour ago, Greg, that the Fulton District Attorney, Fonnie Willis, filing a motion. She wants to move the trial date, the RICO trial date up of these 19 defendants to October 23rd, which is just before Halloween. I don't know that that's even possible.
There is no way, Debbie, as you know from having seen cases like this, that they're going to be able to get 19 co-defendants ready for trial in 8 weeks on a case that has probably thousands of pages of documents. And I appreciate the state wanting to move things up and wanting to have it done as quickly as possible, but that's 60, 70 days away. And I don't see a judge honoring that. I don't see the defendants, any of them, agreeing to that. That being said, it's probably not going to be, 2 years from now either. There's got to be some happy medium.
Right.
So how does that typically happen when an indictment is handed up in their charges? How do they just send them UPS trucks full of information?
Yeah, well, in the old days we did, Dave. Now we have thumb drives and hard drives and things like that, and they'll download it and they'll give everybody. You show up at their office literally with a hard drive, and they'll download it onto what you've got and then you can review it. But these are not uncommon in terms of cases like this where there's such a huge amount of documents, evidence, interviews. I'm sure there are a lot of grand jury interviews, probably some police recorded interviews. So, yeah, there's a lot of documents and a lot of information that needs to be shared here.
Greg, the original push from the DA was that, to have this trial in March. I've actually felt like that was going to be too early. Just like if you've done I've never been an attorney like you, but I've covered so many trials that as a reporter, you just know that things get continued all the time. If it's on the docket, there's a chance it's going to get bumped. But this idea of putting 19 people on trial and making sure that all the defendants and their legal counsel have an appropriate opportunity to review all of the evidence, go through discovery. I was like, there's just no way by March. I mean, not by my birthday. There's no way. And then she goes and bumps it up, tries to bump it up to October, has not been granted that motion yet from what we can tell. I think that kind of stings her credibility a bit.
It absolutely does. And she won't be granted that motion, Debbie. Now, October of 2024 may be a realistic date. And, of course, that's awkward because we're talking about weeks before the general election. I don't think the Trump team is going to be able to postpone all 4 of his current indictments until after the November 2024 presidential election. But I assume at least 1 or 2, maybe all of them, will go forward between now and then. But even March, you're right, Debbie, would be very optimistic and probably not realistic in terms of getting all these people lined out. Now, of course, you know from your experience too, Debbie, that the prosecution usually starts at the bottom. They'll go to number 18 on the indictment list and see if he or she wants to cut a deal, and they'll start working their way up. Trump, of course, being the first name on the indictment, and also he's probably the last one that's going to cut a deal with them. But they'll start working on the other co-defendants to see if anybody wants to work something out.
Greg, how long does a trial like this last? And the reason I ask is because I think the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial went like a month and a half. So how long would this trial, if it ever goes to trial, how long would something like this last?
Given the number of defendants and the number of counts, and there are a significant number of both, you could probably assume, Dave, and actually it's probably going to take a week just to select a jury, 12 people that can judge a case like this without having preconceived notions. So, and then the trial itself, maybe another 3 or 4 weeks. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this trial encompassed an entire month or more from start to finish.
Greg, before we let you go, walk us through what this afternoon will or should look like for the former president?
So he'll go in, he'll surrender to the authorities. He won't be arrested, like he says. They'll do a booking process where they fingerprint and photograph him. He'll post bail. He's probably already posted the bail. It's $200,000. And then they will schedule dates for him to be arraigned, for him to start getting what's called discovery, which you've talked about, pretrial motions, that type of thing. They'll probably just schedule a scheduling conference today and say, okay, everybody come back in 6 or 8 weeks, and let's decide when we're going to try this case and what the rules will be in terms of when motions are due and when discovery is due and that type of thing.
A quick question on the bail thing. Does he have to come up with the full $200,000? Is it a portion of it? Can you bring it in tens and 20s?
Pennies and nickels.
All of the above.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference between you and I and Donald Trump is that he has $200,000 in his pocket, so he can just go to the court and just post it. Other people that don't have that amount can buy a bail bond for 10% of the value, which means they pay $20,000. But I'm sure he'll just post cash. Then, when the trial's over, he gets it all back.
And as luck would have it, a former or a bail bondsman is all part of this indictment as well. I mean, there are
conveniently.
You can't make this up.
You cannot make it up. Like literally, a bail bondsman who was somehow sent into the back room or wherever he went at the courthouse or at the county clerk's office there to. I don't know. Look over the records. Yeah, he's involved too. He's already checked himself in at the jail. So another big story. Maria, Jeff, and the entire team will be watching all day long for you.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon, and this is Utah's Noon News. I'm Maria Shaleos. KSL's top story this hour. Students and teachers at Highland High School this week have had some extra critters joining them in the classrooms. Hundreds of bats were discovered, and now the DWR is working to safely get them out of there. KSL News Radio's Amy Kobabe is live with that story. Amy?
Maria, this is not what you want to find, obviously, on your first week back to school. But Sean Perez with the DWR says these types of migratory bats actually love spaces that kind of mimic caves and cliffs. So an empty school in the summer is the perfect place for them. He also says, though, that just having the bats in the building is not dangerous.
So being in proximity to that is not going to pose any substantial health risks. The big issue that we have is when we have people who are going out to try and pick up bats or handle bats. And that's when, you kind of get into a situation where a bat might scratch or bite somebody.
The health department says they are monitoring 2 people who work at the school who were not scratched or bit, but they were close enough for them to have some concerns. Pledez says that they are removing the bats. They found about 70 inside and about 100 roosting outside. Reporting live, Amy Kobabe, KSL News Radio.
In developing news, a man is dead following an officer-involved shooting in a neighborhood between 6200 and 70th South in West Jordan. Unified Police Sergeant Melody Cutler says they are investigating domestic violence as part of the shooting death of 46-year-old Aaron Zimmerman.
If you need assistance, there is a ton of resources out there. If you're involved in a domestic violence relationship, please reach out, get those resources early so that we don't have things end in this manner.
Cutler says Zimmerman pulled out a gun before 3 Kearns officers shot and killed him. The officers now are on leave as the investigation continues. Data shows domestic violence is still prevalent in Utah, but there is evidence to suggest the new lethality assessments police use are helping combat the problem.
Not even 2 full months since it became a requirement for Utah law enforcement to start asking people a series of questions and responding to domestic violence calls, now a lot more victims are getting help. McKaylee Gray with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition says victim advocates are now getting 50% more calls, and the number of high-risk victims taking advantage of resources has increased at a similar rate.
People who are at the most risk of being killed
are able to access those services because officers are providing this screen.
While this is good news, Gray also says the assessments can't predict what will happen next in a given situation, which is why she encourages anyone who needs help to take that first step. We have a list of resources on our website. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Developing news, the family of the pilot killed in the plane crash in West Jordan yesterday have now released his name. Creighton King, they say it was a very experienced pilot who loved to fly. Police and aviation officials are confirming that this is the identity of the man who died. Now, the single-engine Cassoute crashed near the Salt Lake Regional Airport yesterday afternoon. A new problem on Boeing's troubled 737 MAX aircraft.
Boeing will be slowing delivery of certain new 737 MAX aircraft after it was discovered that fastener holes on the aft pressure bulkhead were drilled the wrong size. Those bulkheads are made by several subcontractors, and the issue is only present on some of those made by Spirit Aerosystems. Affected planes on the assembly line will now have to be reworked. Boeing says the issue does not pose an immediate safety threat. Dave Packer, ABC News.
KSL's top national stories. The head of a Russian paramilitary organization, the Wagner Group,